This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Hudson Auto Works is conveniently located off of Highway 29, 812 Post Street, Greensboro, North Carolina. Our beautiful 15,000 square feet facility is home to 21 highly trained professionals offering used car sales, collision repair, automotive detailing, and the best customer service you won't find anywhere else. Visit us at www.hudsonautoworks.com or call us at 336-772-0685.
Join us at East Coast Wings and Grill. Enjoy 75 tasty flavors of buffalo wings, fresh salads, burgers, and a variety of delicious dishes. Experience a family-friendly atmosphere you can't get anywhere else. Fresh, family, fun.
Get your business noticed with quality vinyl vehicle wraps from Ruth Sign Service. Ruth Sign Service has been providing truck lettering and quality printed vehicle graphics for over 50 years. Now they offer premium digital printing wraps for all types of vehicles. Add a new element of energy to your company's image. Get more mileage out of your business-to-business advertising by wrapping your vehicle into a moving billboard from Ruth Sign Service. Ruth Sign Service in Greensboro, where you can get wrapped and get noticed.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The journey to make the second round enters its final two-race stretch, where each point becomes more difficult to earn and where each trip around the track too tough to tame becomes more treacherous. Live from the virtual Darlington Raceway, we bring you the penultimate race of round one in the 2024 eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. Welcome to the coverage on FTN as we bring down round one, where alongside eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver for Joe Gibbs Racing, Daniel Falkingham, I'm Kenneth Bueno. Now, no matter where you slice it, Daniel, this track is tough. It is very difficult to get around this speedway, and it'll make things even more difficult when you add in the context of points racing and those that are just oh so close to making or missing the top 70 for round two.
Absolutely. Coming to a place like Darlington where it isn't your traditional oval. It's got that little egg shape. You got a long sweeping turns 1 and 2, and then you got a very tight turns 3 and 4 with a very old track surface that is going to eat up the tires, and a very narrow surface where that wall is waiting for you, waiting for that good old Darlington stripe. So I couldn't think of a better place to have the penultimate race as we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and there's a lot of guys that need a lot of points that are way down in the standings. So that's going to be something to watch out for tonight. And a lot of guys tonight also that are really way up there in the standings, hoping to lock themselves in when 120 laps are complete here tonight.
You got different philosophies all across the board. Those, like you said, safe, just racing, just to race. And then those who are pretty much racing for their lives when it comes down to making the second round of Road to Pro. And you add in the fact that we just came off of the last race at Dover Motor Speedway, and it makes things a little more difficult in that sense as well. So look at the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series schedule for 2024. We've knocked down almost every single race in round 1, Daniel. What's so important about knocking down Darlington, this one specifically, and then nailing it down at the end with Charlotte Motor Speedway to close it off?
Yeah, like we said, we got 2 very different racetracks. Darlington tonight, just over a mile and 1.3 miles, and a traditional mile and a half at Charlotte we'll be at in 2 weeks' time. But I want you to notice some of these race lengths we got too. 120 laps here tonight, which is a pretty long race considering some of the other races we've had here this season. And then 2 weeks at Charlotte. It's the longest race we have, 160 laps, which seems like a marathon these days, especially over the last few years with our race distances. So definitely a lot of racing left to do, but there's not a lot of time either. So there's definitely going to be a lot. These guys are going to be chasing a lot, especially over these next 2 races with 2 very completely different racetracks. As we take a look at the Road to Pro ladder here, as we mentioned, the top 70 after round 1 will be advancing to round 2, where the top 20 from round 2 will advance to the Contender Series. And then we'll have a whole another spiel on that later on. So, but for the main focus for these guys tonight is top 70. And these guys got 2 weeks left to do it as these guys get ready for qualifying.
That's the marker to get to 70, and for a lot of the drivers, they will be either on the outskirts of the top 70 or really close to that cut line. Have to make sure that they execute on all cylinders tonight from Darlington, which is, like we've talked about, one of the more difficult tracks to drive on the iRacing service. That's only step 1 when you want to get to Contender and then to the Coke Series, like our boy Daniel has for last year and this year of the series. It gets very difficult, and Darlington, like we've seen in seasons past, always known for its long green flag run racing and tire wear. That's going to be one thing to watch for as we move forward. Well, Daniel, you've driven this.
Yeah, just like I talked about at the top of the show, just look how different this track is. You got a long sweeping turns 1 and 2, and then a very tight turns 3 and 4, and especially with how narrow the racing surface is, where it's almost 1 lane, 1.5 lanes, sometimes 2, maybe 3 lanes if you can get that apron to work, which I don't think we'll be seeing tonight. But as you see, we got the turns 1 and 2. The banking is from somewhere between 23 to 25 degrees, and it's the same way in turns 3 and 4. But there's some with the track conditions we have out here tonight. You're going to be using a lot of throttle through turns 1 and 2, but you're going to be using a little bit of brake down in turns 3 and 4. So it's important to get your truck to handle on both ends of the speedway as close and to be as consistent as possible with how much the tires are going to fall off, and especially how the strategy is going to play off. Because I've been hearing from a lot of guys that this might be a little bit of a fuel strategy race to make this a 1-stop, and some guys might think that this might be 2-stop with how the tires are going to react and how they're going to wear. So We're in for a really good show tonight. That is for sure, Kenneth. But now it's just to wait and see just how is the race going to play out. Are we going to get those green flag runs, or are we going to have a lot of caution flags that we did see at Dover? That is only just one way to find out as these guys are getting ready. They're on the track qualifying. And then, like I said, that's another important thing. Qualifying, having that track position to make your night a lot easier.
And with these trucks, we've mentioned so much about the downforce, the power levels, just how difficult it is to pass on most circuits around the NASCAR calendar here at Darlington, where it's tough to pass no matter what car you drive. With this truck, it is going to be a little more difficult and tough on that sense. Drivers are in qualifying, final 2.5 or so minutes until we get everyone trackside to bring you our 120 lap feature from the virtual Darlington Raceway. We will remind you quickly that if you want to tune into all of the latest updates in the world of eNASCAR, NASCAR. You can scan that QR code on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen and sign up today for the newsletter and get all the words from the eNASCAR world, whether it's from Road to Pro, Contender later on this fall, and of course the current eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series season. Daniel, you had a lot of fun at Talladega about a night or so ago, 2 nights ago. What was that like? It was crazy to watch everyone going 3-4 wide, had a chance at a win there, and top 5 as green-white checkered territory expired.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the most fun, competitive, and scary races I've ever been a part of. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of guys making 3-4 wide moves, and everyone knew what they were doing, trying to build those runs, build that energy, and just being able to just be aggressive, knowing the competition you have around you. Definitely one of the most fun races I ever taken a part of, and we had a really good race coming home in 5th. We were even leading there on some of those GWCs that unfortunately didn't go our way. But it feels good to have a great result. First ever top 5 for me in the series, which is really important to me. Hopefully we can carry that momentum in a couple of weeks to Charlotte. But put us in a good spot tonight, and it was a lot of fun. A little wore out just mentally from just trying to figure out all the right moves to make. And it feels good to be here in a commentator's chair tonight, just kind of get to relax a little bit and watch, hopefully, the stars of tomorrow come out here tonight and see what they can show to maybe race with us someday in the future.
You go from nerve-wracking super speedway racing, the Coke Series, to covering Road to Pro from your chair at home. I'd say that's a pretty good commitment to be on both sides, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's good being on this side on Thursday nights compared to what I was doing 2 years ago. It's always good to be able to watch this kind of stuff, and it's fun being at the top level with all the time we put into it. So, but yeah, just like I said, all these guys, all the time that these guys put into this series trying to make it to the top level, it's all worth it. When you have great success, like guys like Michael Mitchum, who's been in top split, who's actually going to be in our second split tonight, who is way up in the points, just needs a solid run, and that should lock him into round 2. He looks like he's going to be bringing us to green with 30 seconds left in quali, sitting in P1. And Connor Euroshak, who's won 2 times here in second split, last time out at Dover, he won the race. He's sitting in second right now, so expect Connor Euroshak to have another strong run.
These guys are on the grind. Final 17 seconds left in qualifying. Michael Mitchum, the top of the board. And as we look at the top 70 in point standings, there are 2 drivers that we're not sure will be in second split, but they will be in the splits across the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series group of splits for the race. Cody Porter leads by 5 points in that 70th spot over Matt Hooker. Both of them basically going toe-to-toe. We look at some of those drivers who have been consistent in second split that are right on the edge or basically behind the 8 ball. You look at drivers like Dylan Pettis, who's moved up to 64th after Dover. River Hayes, who's up to 66th place with 1,205 points, and you look down the order, Cade McClenny, a driver we've seen be strong here and there, 77th in points. Derek Heitman, 79th. Logan Helton in 80th. Joseph Galata in 81st. A lot of those drivers 35 to 42 points out of the top 70 respectively, so they're going to have a lot of work cut out for them here tonight from the virtual Darlington Raceway. Let's bring you trackside and get you tonight's starting grid of the 6th race in the 2024 eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series calendar right here from the track. 2 tough to tame, and we start on the front row where it will be Michael Mitchum in the number 1 truck. Highest I rating in the field, best qualifying time at a 28.261. 2-time winner Connor Euroshak going to be on his outside looking to defend the win from 2 weeks ago at Dover. Back in row number 2, Dalton Millam looks to rebound on his eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series campaign from 3rd. Robbie Vrabel in the number 35 will be on his outside. That's in the 2nd row. Will Cooley in the 16, last driver inside the top 5 with Ashton Crowder, I believe, making his first split 2 start in the 2024 RTP Series. He's going to be on the outside in P6 with Daniel Nanny, winner from Daytona earlier this season in second split, with Brandon Hawk, the Richmond winner, on his outside in row number 4. To round out your top 10 is Carson Bowers in the number 10 machine and Adam Garza in the 20.
Rounding out row 6 here, we got John Hall and James Wetzel. And then starting here in P13, we got Logan Helton, who is 80th in the points coming in with a drop, 38 points behind the cut. He's going to need a good run here tonight. Tommy Gossett, who actually won 3rd split in Dover a couple weeks back, he's in 2nd split tonight. He'll roll off from P14. Then you got Justin Bolton and Kyle F. Dragon is going to be rolling off from row 8, 15th, and 16th. Row 9, you're going to have Abraham Vila and Joshua Balliet rounding out row 9, and then Kenneth rounding out the top 20. You have Dylan Pettis and Craig Janset.
Gonna look for Dylan Pettis all night long as he tries to chase for top 70 status, and then 15 more after your top 20, beginning with Patrick Gitter in the 9. David L. Brown for Nexus Esports with Front Row Motorsports, going to be on the outside in 22nd. Back in 23rd, River Hayes, who sits above the cut line for now. He'll look to stay alive with Johan Seminario on his outside in 24th. Nate Stewart returns to second split in the 17 truck from 25th. Joe Armstrong on his outside in P26. Row 14, you'll find the 27th place car of Edward Schur and J-Bo, Justin Botello, in the number 25 in 28th position. Rounding out your top 30, Justin Levine in the number 23 and Anthony Permoda in the number 30 truck. Behind them, Matt Danson for Altus Engineering and Derek Heitman in the number 32 spot. Back behind them in row number 17, Santiago Tires, former Coke Series driver, deep in this field with Cody Johnson and Joshua Dickens to round out your 35 truck field from Darlington. Quick start by Michael Mitchum. We are racing from the track. Too tough to tame.
Well, let me tell you that. They were ready to go already, and that was kind of an interesting restart there, cutting the entire corner right there as Michael Mitchum, he's going to drive away. He's already got like a 5-6 truck length lead ahead of this field already.
You look at side by side, further back in the top 10, but Mitchum was easy to get on the gas as quickly as possible in the Airheads machine, ballooning to what's a 7/10 of a second lead over Dalton Millam, who got second over Connor Yoshak to the stripe to complete lap 1. That was a really early start, and often, Daniel, we see on the restarts drivers go that early in turn 4. Never really on the initial start, but I guess Mitchum just took that as, sure, why not? Took the green flag there. And we talk about track position, how important that is. Well, Mitchum already jumps the gun early, and he's got the advantage to complete lap 2.
Hey, there's no penalty, no restart zones in Road to Pro, so do as you please, as that's going to help him here. He's already up to an 8/10 of a second lead here as Connor Yoshak started second, fell back to third, and he's going to retake that second spot from Dalton Millam. And as you can see, a lot of these guys are already single file, and this talks about the narrow racing line, especially through turns 1 and 2, where there really is only one line to run. You want to cut that apron going into 1, get up right next to that wall in the middle of turns 1 and 2 to carry that speed, and then bring it back down off turn 2 as we run on board with Daniel Naney to get you a good look at this Darlington Raceway. And then in turns 3 and 4, we'll get back to that as we have a caution.
Caution flying out for the first time early here on lap 4, and all the way at the back. Looks like a pretty sizable
like
accident down
the
front straightaway off turn 4. Several involved. Craig Yansack, one of them. Tommy Gossett, the other. And there are many drivers that were torn up in this. There's Tommy Gossett's number 26. He is severely beaten and battered. Joshua Ballier seems to also have a piece in this. And of the field, and I believe it started further up the road where some drivers got sideways and out of the final corner. Looks like contact there, and it begins with the 80 truck at the front and tags a bunch of others in it, including River Hayes.
Now look at that, avoided by Justin Bolton in the Bush machine right there. But yeah, it all started, I believe, with Tommy Gossett getting turned through turns 3 and 4. We'll have to go back and get a better replay as we'll get one right here. Looking back at that nice little throwback with the Tommy Gossett, like a Shell Pennzoil throwback right there. Going through turns 3 and 4, that seems to be Patrick Gitter in the 21. Oh, and just hooks him in the right rear. Sends him up into the wall, and that's going to collect 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks, and then there's more of them trying to avoid it, nowhere to go. Some guys trying to come to a stop, trying to get around the whole mess, and it looks like they all escaped just fine. Some guys, some unlucky. We saw some front bumpers literally rolling down the racetrack right there, but yeah, unfortunate start for a lot of these guys. They're going to need to have some early repair, and throws a little wrench in at the start of this race on lap number 6.
A look from Joshua Ballier. Nowhere
just
you can
really
go.
Nowhere to go. Nope.
You talk about it, Daniel. This is really a one-lane racetrack, and when you add the fact that it's narrow on its own right, when you've got Hayes in the number 81 truck, Chevrolet Silverado, he brings his truck down pit road early. A bunch of other drivers do the same near the back of the field. Patrick Gitter, who picked up a ton of damage there on the opening caution, a bit of the scratching on the right side of his Chevy. He's going to try and repair that truck. So is Joshua Ballier and a bunch of others that have taken it down pit road here 6 laps in. And that's going to be a pretty sizable dagger, Daniel, to River Hayes, who we talked about is above the cut line in the top 70. He is over by 20 points in 66th. You know how many drivers run in all the different splits across Road to Pro? Tonight, not the only one. So River Hayes with a bit of the struggles early. It's going to hurt his potential campaign at getting top 70.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to quickly get back to a point I was talking about right as that yellow was coming out. I was talking about how narrow it can be through turns 1 and 2, but I was going to bring up the fact that you do have options in turns 3 and 4. You can roll that bottom lane, or you can roll right up next to the fence in turns 3 and 4 to give you got different options. And you saw that right there. A lot of guys are battling side by side through turns 3 and 4 back in the middle of the pack, just trying to find that grip and trying to find that speed early on. And unfortunately, close quarters can lead to a wreck like that. And hopefully, some of these guys take it a little bit more easy to try to prevent that from happening once again, as Tommy Gossett has pulled it behind the wall. He is out of the race. The third split winner from Dover 2 weeks ago is going to have an early end to this one.
So tough for Gossett, who's going to call this one quits early. Craig Yansack has also fallen 2 laps down back in 34th. Going to be about 2 trucks that are a lap down or more, and 34 that remain on the racetrack. Michael Mitchum went out to an early start on lap number 1. We can only imagine if he'll do the same. Connor Yuroshak, who moved up to 2nd after getting around Dalton Millam early in the race, he's going to be on the outside of row 1. Pace car to the left and into pit road. Mitchum looks for the apron. He charges and he takes the green flag on lap number 8. First restart of the night.
Doing another similar restart, just cutting that turn 4 exit. And he's going to get a nice gap there on Connor Yuroshak. And you see everyone trying to fail out, single file. Got some double wide racers still in the back of the pack, right around the edge of the top 10. But here we go. You got Yuroshak, Malam, and others running single file down to turn number 3. They all choose to go to the bottom early on fresh tires. That's where the grip's going to be. And then as this race goes on, as we get more rubber buildup, these guys might try to move around a little more, maybe try to run a little higher, try to get some more speed as the tires wear out.
And what a great start for round 1 in 2024 for the 12th truck, rather. Connor Yuroshak, who's 2nd right now, trying to chase down Mitchum. Picked up his 2nd win of his Road to Pro season at the Dover Motor Speedway. Picked up his first in 2nd split at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And the last time we were here covering FTN with 2nd split of Road to Pro, here at this track he finished 14th. But Yuroshak, really good start early on, pulling away from Millam and chasing down what could be his 3rd win of the season, and will get him confirmed into top 70 territory for round 2. Really great stuff at the Nexus Esports Yuroshak machine. We'll keep an eye on him as he tries to chase down Michael Mitchum, currently holding on to the top spot. Had a bit of side-by-side action back here at around the latter half of the top 10. Ashton Crowder in the 33 leading a trio or quartet of trucks, if you will. Brandon Hawk, John Hall, Logan Helton among those behind him, and already everybody looks to go single file. They want to make sure they get this one done early, possibly avoid a 2nd caution at lap number 11. The look on board from Crowder.
Nice look on board from Crowder, just how to get around this Darlington Raceway as they're going to go down the backstretch. And tell you what, that sun going into turns 3 and 4, I don't know what some of these display settings that these guys have, but it's a problem that the real-life drivers face in real life too, especially at this late at night or this late in the day, having that sun just peeking out at you going into turns 3 and 4 where it's really hard to see the entry. Some guys really can't see, and it's hard for them to find their entry point where they need a lift. Causes a problem for a lot of these guys in real life. I don't know if it's causing a problem for these guys right now, which I don't think it should, depending on what display settings they got on and all that fancy stuff. But right now, as we see Carson Bowers, he's had a good run. Looked like to be a favorite to hopefully win at Dover. Unfortunately, got trapped by a caution flag and a green flag pit cycle. He's going to try to make up for that tonight as he's currently riding up here in the top 10 with a good run so far. Riding right in front of Crowder.
Yeah, one of those drivers that won a race here in Split 2. Came courtesy of Texas Motor Speedway several weeks ago with a bit of a throwback paint tonight. We have of JDR Graphics, and right behind Robbie Vrabel Jr. Almost attempted a pass on the inside entering 3 and 4, but just held back. Everybody all single file as they ride the bottom of the racetrack will complete lap 14 of 120. But that's sort of the method of driving this Darlington Raceway. You can't treat it like every other track on the service, at least on the oval side. Now, there's a lot of other quirky ovals, but this is really the quirkiest of them all. At an X shape, different radius in each corner, mostly narrow. You got to run a single file line, and so it creates a bigger difficulty on making passes. It almost seems as though, Daniel, that you want to set up your passes for off the corners and on the straightaways versus actually in the corner.
And that's for sure going to be important, trying to have that drive over the long run to be able to hook up the rear tires to get that drive, because with, like I've talked about, like, look at the surface. You can just see physically the surface, just how worn out this track is, just how much the tires are going to fall out or fall off as the run goes on. So it's going to be important to have a good handling truck, but more importantly, have that rear drive that you're going to need as we get longer and longer and longer into this stint. And I see all these guys trying to manage the tires right now, just trying to roll that bottom, roll that white dotted line on the inside lane. Just trying to take care of their stuff right now, because we're still early on in this run, and the handling, tires are just going to get worse the more laps you do.
As the sun beams down on the racetrack, specifically here in 1 and 2, you can see the glare off the corner down the Boeing backstretch with the look on board from Connor Yoroshek. It's not going to get any easier when you have the sun putting all of its heat and energy into 1 and 2, which is one of the faster parts of the racetrack. And even then in 3 and 4, this surface does eat up the Goodyear Eagles. We're looking at that with Michael Mitchum, who's sort of falling off the pace. Connor Yoroshek has caught up. He's picking about a tenth each lap. He's down to 0.3 of a second right behind Mitchum as they are approaching a bit of the lap traffic earlier on. So good news for Yoroshek. He could try to attack on Mitchum. As we look back side by side between drivers inside the top 22, this is Johan Seminario getting around Joshua Dickens in the 31.
Nice little battle back here. Got some nice battles all over the racetrack. I think we got a side-by-side battle further up the field here, which I believe involves. So we tried David Brown, who is in search of some more good points. He had a good run last week at Dover, running right now inside the top 15 in 15th place. There you see him right there, that beautiful number 83 machine for Nexus Esports. Trying to hopefully have another good run after coming off the top 10 where he got some good points. Lead up the standings just a little bit. He's hoping to continue to do that to make sure he's in a good spot going into Charlotte in case he does not lock himself in tonight.
He is 82 points above that top 70 cut line, so after tonight and after Charlotte, should be rather comfortable to make it into round 2 without a really big issue heading into Chicagoland Speedway, the opening race of that second round. Runs calmly in 15th, watches a close battle right behind him between Nate Stewart and Dylan Pettis. This might heat up for that 16th spot just outside of top 15 territory. Pettis, one of those drivers we mentioned that is basically near the cusp of falling out of the top 70. He is only 22 points above that 70th spot currently held by Cody Porter. We've seen some really good runs out of Pettis' machine throughout the season, and a bit of a cleaner and less cluttered look tonight. Pretty much a throwback scheme for Pettis. I think this is back to Dale Earnhardt that he's throwing back to with Nate Stewart right behind him.
Yeah, talking about we've seen a few throwbacks, trying to figure out some of these throwbacks. Like we see Nate Stewart here, he's in a Kyle Busch throwback as he's under fire from the number 21 machine. That is Kyle Dragon. They're going to go side by side for what looks to be the 18th position, or the 17th position, excuse me. Dragon, he's going to complete the path. Nate Stewart's going to fall back in line in 18th place. And then you see right behind them, you got, I believe that is James Wetzel, who has fallen back through the field, started 12th, and is fallen back to pretty much outside the top 20, or nearing the edge of the top 20 right now. So not a good start here for James Wetzel, but still a lot of racing to go as we have completed 20 laps, and we got 100 laps to go here.
And thankfully, this is one of those tracks, Daniel, to where you could run a lot of green flag laps. This field will separate, and apart from some mistakes here and there, you could run this race from flag to flag. Now, we only had that first caution that caught us on the opening laps, but other than that, everyone pretty clean, and I think everyone got the memo after the first pileup out of turn 4. They just want to keep it settled for now. Don't really want to push the envelope if they have to, unless they have to, really, at the end of this race. You talked about saving, Daniel, to make it for the stint. This is 120 laps, so we know that this track, like we said, conducive to these long runs. So how do you try and save at Darlington, knowing that it's so different from all the other tracks we usually visit?
Well, yeah, especially when it comes to a place like Darlington where the pace is going to fall off dramatically anyway. It's just maybe you want to just lift off the throttle a little bit more, maybe lift on entry to try to let it. Maybe you want to roll into the corner a little bit more as we ride on board with Yoroshek here. You might try to lift a little earlier, maybe right around the edge of that, right at the end of like the red, like, you know, right around that sign there. Turn 3 and 4, couldn't quite catch what that sign was on the entry 3, but like that's a lift point I like to use here at Darlington. But maybe try to lift a little bit earlier just to recover a bit of fuel. But that caution that these guys had back early in the race on lap 4 is going to help these guys try to make it to lap 60, because the fuel is going to be tight to make it a one stop, as we got a little contact there I think that's the number 13 of Brandon Hawk. He's going to go side by side with John Hall. Oh, he's still sideways. He's in the wall. He's going to collect a few others. That is Logan Helton. That ran in the back of him. He's got nose damage. And now Brandon Hogg has got no rear deck lid, and we're going to try 3 wide at Darlington.
There were 3 wide and 3 and 4. That was Abraham Vela, who made a move on the inside in that Jeff Gordon 2015 throwback, but a huge hit for Logan Helton. He's going to have a crinkle on the front end of his Ford F-150. Had a lot of struggles at Dover Motor Speedway several weeks ago where he got caught up in a pretty big... this entering turn 1, but there was nowhere that Logan Helton could go.
Nowhere for him to go. He's going to get by the incident, but now he's going to have a little blemish on the nose of that Ford F-150 right there. And it's going to be a little bit of worry. Don't think he's got to worry about overheating too much, because over the last couple of years, there's been a change with tape where there's a specific race tape that they have to run. So they don't have to worry about blowing up too much with like a predetermined tape that they're going to use in the race here. So definitely worried about Logan Helton there. He's definitely going to be hurt on performance and just hurt on handling with a loss of front downforce probably. So that's unfortunate for him, as we got a battle cooking up for the race lead right here as Connor Euroshack has run down number 38 of Michael Mitchum here.
Michael Mitchum has been on the hot seat since the beginning of this race, and Connor Euroshack has been the only one to follow with him, while everybody else, Dalton Millimon back, have sort of fallen off the pace. Mitchum and Euroshack continue to run in a league of their own, and it might just switch hands in the next several laps if Euroshack can complete the pass. And we mentioned it earlier about how Darlington is one of those venues where you have to set up your passes for the exit of the corners, not the entry. Although Euroshack has been better throughout the entirety of the racetrack, he really has to set this up smartly and gotta make sure that at least one of the pass attempts won't be foiled. 1 and 2 is so dangerous to go to the inside, like we saw with Brandon Hawk. So Euroshack faces an uphill battle to get around Mitchum.
Yes, Euroshack is going to try everything to set up this pass, where it's going to be a little bit hard for him to try and maybe make a pass, because Michael Mitchum, he's got that free air, he's got the clean air, and Euroshack, it seems to be having a little bit of better handling right now at the moment. But obviously it's going to be hard trying to follow him, especially how fast we're going through turns 1 and 2. And it's going to be hard to make that pass just in the first place, because Darlington is just one of those tracks where it is very tricky to pass. As Euroshack almost hits the wall off 2 there. Kind of ran a little high, almost get the wall there. But he's trying to get back there. As you see, these guys are starting to move up in turns 3 and 4, getting closer to that wall, where it may not be optimal to run the bottom. As of right now, we're seeing all over this field, everyone's starting to run the middle, starting to run the high side right on those seams. Really, everyone's starting to really move around a lot more in turns 3 and 4, trying to find that optimal speed and optimal grip.
Almost shocked that we didn't see more drivers go up the racetrack in the beginning of this race, just with how much grip was out there, but everybody wanted to chase toward the bottom of the racetrack where that dashed white line is at the entry of 3 and 4. So everyone's slowly moving up as the tire wears out. Here's David Brown on the inside pass for 13th. Logan Helton, who got the damage, is going to give way. And behind Helton, Pettis, and Stewart, making it a quartet here out of 3 and 4. Helton almost got the crossover completed on Brown, but instead Pettis fires the gun for the pass entry to turn 1.
Into turn 1, Pettis is going to try to complete that pass, but Logan Helton, he's going to defend from that outside lane, and he's going to hang on just fine here back in the pack. Logan Helton uses he's going to just be hanging on here, trying to hang on to that damage until he can maybe get a caution flag to maybe patch up some of that nose damage, but for right now, he is going to struggle. He's going to hold up this field a little bit, but for right now, still maintains some decent pace. Obviously not going to be race-winning pace, or maybe not top 10 pace at the moment, but right now, just trying to hold his own back in the 14th position, still hanging on to top 15. If he can just catch a caution like I mentioned, he can try to fix some of that up, and he can be back to 100%.
Look on board with Ashton Crowder. Looking through the top 10, there's John Hall right in front. Carson Bowers, who just made the outside move in turns 1 and 2. Pretty nice to see Bowers be able to complete that without any contact. Here's Crowder slowly inching up. It's sort of a interesting run through 3 and 4, Daniel. How would you as a driver attack that corner? Because it seems to me that everyone has their own specific entry. You either want to go high, some drivers do that, some drivers just stay loyal to the bottom, some like the diamond approach. What's your approach as a driver when you take Darlington Raceway and you have to attack 3 and 4 with its shorter radius and the fact that you do have to brake to make that corner?
Well, as someone who who likes to claim that they're a professional bottom feeder. I like what Ashton Crowder is doing right here, just rolling that bottom, wrapping the white dotted line, and lately with the grip changes that have been coming to Darlington over the last couple of years, that's made the bottom a little bit more usable than years prior. I've always liked to try to roll the bottom, maybe like to move up maybe half a lane. It just depends on how my car is feeling. It just depends on how I'm feeling as a driver. Like, do I want to maybe move up the track a little more to find that extra speed? Or what can I do to try to not hurt the tire? So, like these guys are going to go down to turn number 3. I like to try to maybe roll the bottom, enter on the bottom, then maybe like to slide up half a lane. I don't like to fully go near the wall because I'm someone that is not quite comfortable at running the wall, or I don't feel like I'm very good at it. So I try to give myself a little space to the wall as possible. And like I mentioned, just trying to roll that bottom, I feel like it's just best for your tires. And I feel like I just have a more natural feel just trying to roll that bottom and maybe move it up half a lane up on that seam.
With these trucks too, you can really wrestle them around. I know with the next gen car, you have a ton of grip with the underside body and the diffuser, so you can really take your different lines, but you're going to have more grip overall than you would here with these trucks. These guys are having a bit of fun trying to figure out their lines, and for the moment, say John Hall unleashed a pass, at least a potential one on Carson Bowers there at the exit of turns 3 and 4. Could not really fully make that pass complete, so these two still settled in 7th and 8th place. They've fallen a bit from Robbie Brabble Jr., who has settled nicely in P6. All the meanwhile, Michael Mitchum has pulled out to 2/10 over Connor Euroshak. 36 laps in, Mitchum has not relinquished the race lead just yet. And I figure that Euroshak just got a bit into that dirty air and all of a sudden just could not make that truck handle better than he would like to as he was catching up. These trucks are known to put a big hole through the air behind them, so Euroshak probably dealing with the effects of the aero wash, and you add in the narrowness of Darlington and it gets a little worse as that time by Mitchum, the fastest truck inside the top 3.
Yeah, so now as we're looking at lap 30, so we're on to lap 37, coming to lap 38, this is where we're going to start seeing a little bit of the strategy come out. Are guys going to want to pit around lap 40, split this into thirds to have those fresh tires? Or are we going to see guys try to stretch it to lap 60 and only have to stop once? So this is where we're really going to start to see the early parts of strategy take place and like what drivers might prefer. So get ready to, we might start seeing some guys hit pit road here in the next couple of laps. It's going to depend here if these guys are going to try to stretch this thing. So coming up, my favorite part of the race is seeing like how much this strategy, because this is the most kind of strategy that we've seen all season, because most of the races have been a definite one stop. But now we might have a 2-stop thrown into effect. We'll just have to wait and see what happens over the next couple of laps if pit road's going to get really busy.
And it's always that situation to where if the race stays green, you constantly have to think about that at the back of your head, how you're going to implement the strategy. And what's most important here is how these drivers are going to pit, whether it's going to be an undercut or overcut, based on how much track position they figure they're going to gain at pit road exit. Look on the inside from Abraham Vella, his number 24 Jeff Gordon throwback, looking underneath former Coke Series driver Justin Bolton. That was going to get tight out of turn 4. It's how you have to do it here at Darlington. They're going to remain door to door. The entry back to turn 1, and this quintuplet of trucks going back to the first corner. All single file. Bolton catches the outside wall and turns Vella into the safer barrier. Everyone will dodge to the inside of the racetrack, and Abraham Vella got hooked into the outside wall by Bolton, our second caution out at lap 40.
And I think that was probably coming for a few laps because Bolton was getting a little frustrated with Vella right there. And I don't know if that was just a misjudgment on Bolton's part, just trying to get back down the track, but he unfortunately hooks Vella into the wall. And one of the Altus trucks had a very close call there, almost piling into the back of Vella there. That was James Wetzel that almost piled into the back of him as we get a replay.
So they bang doors, they touch once, entering turns 1 and 2. To make the corner. It's such a tough situation overall. This is the second look at it from Vella. Looks on the inside in 1. He'll slide up and get into Bolton. I'm not sure Bolton liked that all too much. Just trying to make that corner goes right down into Vella and hooks him hard into the wall.
Yeah, just unfortunate break for Vella, who he has blown his engine too, so this looks like it's going to be the end of the night for him. Just an unfortunate situation. That's just the tight quarters of turns 1 and 2, just how narrow that line is, and just you're kind of walking a very thin line right there of how much room you can give and just how much time you just lose through 1 and 2 trying to race side by side like that. And unfortunately, it didn't end well for both of them, as we have pit stops on the pit lane under this caution flag. Looks like everyone's going to come get 4 tires and fuel, make maybe a little bit of adjustments, and then they'll be on their way.
I'm not sure if the commentator's Jinx was watching us throughout the entire time that we were talking about potential strategy under green. So everyone gets a reset here. Race off of pit road goes to Mitchum, who will continue to man the charge up front. Euroshack second, Millum third, Cooley and Nanny rounding out your top 5. It appears Joshua Dickens is the only truck to stay out here on lap 42. He is yet to pit tonight, so it appears he will take his Chevrolet down pit road and should recycle the field, so Mitchum will continue to lead more laps like he has over the first stint of this race from the track. Too tough to tame. But now you eliminate 1 pit stop virtually now with the caution flag, so you get to reset here, and I guess it's going to make things more fun now. Do you attack for track position early on this run, or how do you play it in comparison to the first stint where you kind of got a handle on what your truck and setup is like here?
If you are able to get spots on this restart, I'd go and get them, because it's going to be very hard once everyone starts to single file out into single file line, because it's just going to be very hard to pass, especially on fresh tires where there's already so much grip in the racetrack right now and so much grip in these trucks. So everyone's going to be trying to go full send to maybe get whatever track position they can, and just get whatever you can get, because you never know this will be the last caution, because we've seen everyone, as we've seen, there's been a couple passes that have been made, but it's been mostly single file, just everyone just stuck in a train, as we saw Euroshack being stuck behind Michael Mitchum right there. So whatever you can get on this restart, you better get it, because that's probably going to be your best opportunity to pass.
And while everyone tries to chase down Michael Mitchum, the one truck in this session is sort of thinking, why not? Mitchum has yet to pick up a win in his 2024 eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series season. And he's been around some of the splits. He's 33rd in point standings, which means he has no real worry about missing the top 74 round 2 when it kicks off in several weeks' time. So Mitchum is just going for the all guns out approach. Why not lead as much as you can and go out and win a race before round 1 is all said and done? Mitchum currently the man in charge, and while Euroshack put up a proper fight, wasn't really enough to topple that Airheads machine, who will lead him back to the stripe, as we'll set up 2x2 and get them all rode up again for the restart on lap number 45. I think we might just see another attempt at a Brandon Hawk, Daniel. What we saw at Richmond, where Hawk was able to lead lap 1 to lap 150 all the way to the end. Can Mitchum do the same here, or will Euroshack try to unleash the pass as early as possible?
We're going to have to wait and see here. I don't mean to say something right here, but I'm getting distracted by those airheads on that truck. I can go for some airheads right now, not gonna lie.
They're good.
But yeah, back to what we were saying. We'll see what Euroshack's got here. It seems like his pace is not too bad. He could stay with Mitchum. He could run him down there on a little bit of a long run, and he could hang and maintain. So we'll see what happens there. If this race goes green a little bit longer, if we get a bit of a longer green flag run here, we'll just have to see what happens, because it seems like we've seen it all season. That Euroshack has had the pace, whether it's short run, long run, no matter what, because he's gone off for 1-2 races. As the pace car is off, Mitchum, he's going to do it again. He's going to launch early, and that's going to be something that he needs to think about later on in this race if he's leading these restarts, because if he keeps doing that, everyone's going to figure out what he's going to be doing every single restart. So you might need to change it up a little bit, but that's for the future as we go back racing.
Well, he's going to have to hope that we don't get more restarts for the night, so nobody else figures out his game before he can unleash it. Side by side between Daniel Nanny and John Hall, 2 Ford F-150s. Ryko and Nexus going head-to-head into turns 3 and 4. And behind them, Robbie Bravo Jr. in the 35 going head-to-head with Carson Bowers. That one settled for position number 7 at the exit of 4. Bravo goes inside on John Hall. This one for 6th into turn 1.
Very tight quarters down turns 1 and 2. Oh, they're banging. A little bit of contact there through 1 and 2. Verbal and John Hall. And they're going to figure it out nice and quickly. Back to single file racing as Bowers going to give a little push there to Robbie Verbal Jr. as we ride on board the number 35, currently running at P7. And there you see everyone's on the bottom. But look at Euroshack. He's ripping the wall. He's trying to run that outside lane, trying to get a big run, as it's not going to matter as we have a caution flag.
Caution flag is out. Matt Danson involved. Reversed in 3 and 4 and still going at it now. Flips it around. Matt Danson for Altus Engineering going for the quick spin. It appears no real damage on his Chevy Silverado, so we will... At the pretty back of the field where Danson was. Quick turnaround, entering turn 3.
quick little turnaround right there, deeper in the pack. Kind of have a better look at that, but just close quarters going into turn 3, trying to everyone to get set up a little bit of an arc, and just kind of all went wrong there, going into 3 for Matt Danson, going down the back straightaway, then just going into turn 3, it looks like it just kind of came up into the 45 there a little bit too much, and he's gonna have a little damage to repair here into this caution flag.
So for the his Chevrolet down pit road along with everyone else. I'm surprised that he took a pretty big hit to the outside wall in 3, but there's no registered damage on the truck, so it looks like he's okay. No suspension damage either, so don't believe there's any red alarms here for the 30 of Danson, but nonetheless, he will bring his truck down pit road. What will be sort of unique in this sense, Daniel, is the fuel strategy. We talked about saving fuel to make it on the amount of stops left for the race. These guys already took 1, at least most of them did, under caution not too long before this one. But here you've got drivers that are damaged and not damaged coming down pit road. How big of an impact is that for those guys who are just topping off on fuel? And will it make a big difference if, let's say, we go the rest of the way green?
We're going to have to see, like, some of these guys maybe trying to go off strategy. These guys have got plenty of tire sets. I believe they started tonight with 4 tire sets in the pits tonight for this 120-lap race. So they got plenty of tires to use. It's just when you use them. So, because you're not going to be doing anything with them at the end of the night. So if you got these tires, and if you're down in the pack, maybe want to try something different, you might as well go out and use them.
This is Anthony Permota in his number 30. You see 45 on his paint scheme. He was the other truck involved in that incident with Matt Danson, and he also took his Chevrolet down pit road. So these guys will have at least a 7-lap advantage on fuel. This is everyone 25th on back that came down pit road. A bulk of them are not involved in that caution, just wanting to take that chance, even though some are looking to continue their damage repair. And we're under yellow once more here at lap number 49. Just a quick reminder that if you want to tune into everything of the world of eNASCAR, you can scan that QR code on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen and tune in to all of the eNASCAR series, whether it be through Road to Pro, Contender, the Coke Series that's currently in season, the International iRacing Series, the College iRacing Series that just wrapped up the spring semester, and so much more. Scan that QR code and sign up today. iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR.
Speaking of that College Series, we wrapped that up this past Friday night. Didn't have the greatest final race like I would have hoped, but we still got some good money out of it. Had a really good year, good season of the College Series, a little bit of a different format, and I came home with some good scholarship money. And we hopefully can do it again when it rolls back around in September. So, but yeah, competing in the College Series has been a lot of fun, and just got some really good competition in there. And I look forward to doing that again. Just hopefully when we bring it back next September.
It's always been really fun to see two sides of the table, because a lot of the Coke guys, I mean, you don't really see it from a first glance when you watch the Coke Series broadcast, but a lot of those drivers, like you, are college students. They're still growing up, they're still getting their degree, they're still getting themselves in the real world, and guys like Garrett Lowe, Steven Wilson, Logan Clampett, all of those guys who are in the College Series, you know, they're all working towards something in their real-life careers, whether they want to be a real-life driver or not. And so it's really cool to see scholarship money awarded to all of them, and, you know, for you, Daniel, to be a part of that series, too, and just showcasing the young talent in college. And also, too, how cool is it to rep your college in the sim? That's always fun.
It's always a lot of fun. Umaine, Machias, shout those guys out. They've been very supportive of me, of what I've been doing, and they've always a few people there have enjoyed watching me race there. And it's been good to kind of represent kind of like a little small college that I go to on the coast of Maine. As enough of that, we're going back green here in qualifying series action as Mitchell. And look at everyone dive off of turn 4, like 5 or 10 trucks going down to the apron trying to follow Mitchum. And that's going to create some chaos going into turns 1 and 2.
They were all clustered at the exit of 4, looking to attack the same way Mitchum did. Bowers gets the outside wall in the middle of the top 10. They seem to be okay. They'll rise up out of turn 2. Vrabel looking on the inside of Hall. That's going to be for 6, while Mitchum pulls away. It almost appeared that they were going to go 3 wide, and you know that Darlington is so narrow, but you add in the apron, you add a lot more space. It's all asphalt down there, so it's free game if you can do it off the restarts. Some drivers use it to their advantage, but for the most part, we settle out. Single file, Euroshack looking to charge on Mitchum for the race lead out of turn 2.
So he has the best chance to get it. Fresh tires, might as well try to go on full attack, see what happens. He's going to pull out to the inside of turns 3 and 4, side by side. Man, Euroshack's going to get a little bit of a nose ahead, but Mitchum, he's going to hang tough on that outside. Here they come off turn number 4. Ooh, almost going to squeeze him into the wall. Let's see who's going to lead the stripe this time. I believe that was Mitchum. And I believe, yes, Mitchum by 1/1000th of a second at the stripe. And he's trying to hang on, but isn't going to. He's still trying to hang on that outside. Oh, that was close to the wall. He ain't going to get there. Euroshack's going to take the lead.
Euroshack bullies his way through to the front. Mitchum falls back to second, and for Mitchum, that was the first time we saw his hand forced. He had to move up high, force Euroshack down low, but the two-time winner in second split takes away the lead. Clearly on lap 53, Millum and Cooley looking to settle in through third and fourth place. But what a move by Euroshack. We talked about it off the exits. It's where you really want to unleash the pass. That's exactly what Euroshack did. Set up out of turn 2, got the pass into turns 3 and 4, and just held on for dear life. Euroshack leading his first laps of the night.
And something that something that we have been used to seeing throughout Split 2, and has definitely been shown that he is a contender week in and week out. And has another good run tonight. If he parks in victory lane again, he's pretty much, I would say, all but locked in to round number 2, where he's going to have a little bit tougher competition from those guys in top split and others. Meanwhile, we'll back looking at Carson Bowers, winner at Texas a couple weeks back. He's in a good spot in points, where I believe he just finishes off tonight in a good spot. He's going to be locked in to round 2. I believe he is way up right around the top 10 in the point standings, carrying the NFR banner really well, along with other guys that are up in the top split, guys like Mercurio, Blaze Crawford, Max Brady, Michael B. Frisch, and a lot of all those other guys up there near the top of the standings. It's been a good run for him in NFR, and it's also been a good run for Nexus Esports, with them currently leading the field right now.
You're right, Carson Bowers is in a really great spot to enter round 2. He goes into tonight's race 11th in point standings with a total of 1,521. You were talking about that NFR environment. What is that like? You've had a lot of communications with these Motorsports racing guys. They've bred a ton of great racing talent, including yourself. I know Parker White has been part of Motorsports as well on his rise up through sim racing. So what's that environment like, not only on the pro side, but here where all of these guys just on that collective grind to get to the Coke Series?
Yeah, so like watching those guys, just putting the work in, and even working with a lot of those guys too through the Contender Series last year. We added Mercurio over the offseason and getting to work with guys like Frisch, Blaze, and Max, going through the Contender Series when those guys weren't through Rotor Pro. Like, just, I know the path. I've been on this path, and just seeing these guys go through that same path too. I certainly don't miss it trying to go through the trucks again, but definitely, like, I love seeing the work that these guys put in, and kind of working alongside EPI too, where you got a lot of help from NFR along with EPI too. That kind of interworking connection over there. It's good to see it. Good to see the results are showing over there, and especially as someone, me and Parker being kind of long-running members there. This is our 3rd year with NFR, so me and Parker are kind of like the old guys over there. So, but now it's been a lot of fun. It's a great working environment to be with, and just overall, just really, really good people to just build relationships with as well.
I'm gonna really hope that they don't call you Unk over there at NFR.
Well, it's crazy, like how much youth we have on the team too. We do got a few old guys, but we got a few young guns too. It's just, I feel like I'm like somewhere right in the middle. But it's kind of crazy. Just not just the youth on the team, but just seeing the youth on the service that I feel like just continues to get younger and younger and younger. Seeing some of these guys trying to go for this ladder and everything. So it's just, well, that's a great thing about sim racing. It seems like no matter what age you are, you can get on, you can come and do this stuff, and it just makes for a really good experience when you put in the time and you have a lot of fun with this stuff. As Euroshack's going to come around turn 4, we're going to complete halfway this time. Bye, Kenneth.
And esports always stays the same in this sense, as we are officially halfway through this race from Darlington Raceway. It's sort of fun to see how iRacing is not the biggest esport in the world. You'll think of League of Legends, your Valorants, your Rocket Leagues, and they are 10 times as popular as iRacing is in the esports space. But when you look at iRacing, the thing is still the same in this than it is in the other esports. Youth always prevails. They always have the newest tactics. They always have the newest ways of using this service, and when it comes down to racing, they have such raw talent. It's all about how they build it into a potential pro series career, or maybe eventually a real life series career in racing. We've seen a lot of Coke guys take down the real world drivers and go super late model racing or modified racing. you name it, they've done so much stuff. So it's great to see the youth really prevail on iRacing like it does in a lot of other esports, and seeing that continuation of the youth drivers doing well and moving up here through Road to Pro and on their journey to the Coke Series. Had a nice side-by-side battle. Adam Garza, Ashton Crowder, and Carson Bowers. These guys 8th, 9th, and 10th right now on the racetrack. They've fallen off from Robbie Bravo Jr. in the 35 and 7th. We've seen Crowder moving back and forth through the latter half of this top 10. I assume that he's going to have his hands full trying to guard Bowers. As look from the background, the sun has set here in Darlington.
Yeah, the track temp's going to start dropping a little bit more, which means this track is just going to even faster. And these guys going to be ramping up some really fast lap times here. As you see Carson Bowers, he's on the attack here. Obviously, we look off the back of the 33 machine of Ashton Crowder. Carson Bowers, he started 9th, and he's running 9th right now, so he hasn't gone anywhere too much. And as you see, he's trying to put the moves here. He's right on the bumper of Crowder, just trying to set up that run off turn 2. And he's not going to quite have to run. He's going to stay in line. He's going to try to go on the attack once more. He's going to try to run the middle, 3 and 4, get a little bit of that clean air on the bottom. And he's going to try to get some drive off turn 4. It has a little bit of a slip right there. He's going to stay in line for the moment. As we got a side-by-side battle between Daniel Nandy and looks like John Hall going into 1 and 2. This is going to be real tight. Hall has to get out of the gas a little bit there. And that's going to allow Robbie Breville Jr. going to have a little bit of a challenge here as well.
That's something that you don't want to do here at Darlington. I was about to say, if you were Carson Bowers, you learned those lessons of trying to go for moves in the middle of the corner. You might end up wrecking yourself or wrecking someone else in the process, and that got quite chippy there between John Hall and Daniel Nanny, who the 30 truck in this case is going to prevail. Nanny going to hold on to that final spot here inside the top 5. Boy, Nanny has had a phenomenal Road to Pro season up until this point. The win coming at Daytona to kick off the campaign, and ever since clocking down 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, some of them coming in a row. For Ryko, they love what they're seeing out of Nanny, who's been one of the best drivers here in second split tonight, putting up a solid run as he sits inside 5th, looking to catch up to the McConey Setup Shop Chevrolet of Will Cooley. The onboard look.
On board off the front bumper, looks like the front splitter here going through 1 and 2. You see those guys clip the inside of that apron through turns 1 and 2, and then drive it to the wall and right back down off turn 2 to try to get all that speed. And a very nice shot. As you see, the sun's no longer a problem for these guys. The track's completely shaded. This track's going to start really ramping up here as we enter this second half of the race. But right now, good run for Daniel Nandy. I've raced him a little bit in the College Series too. Very good driver. Definitely out there to compete, and he showed he can go out and win like he did at Daytona. And definitely he's going to be a threat, especially with him in that Ryko team as we enter round 2 here in not too long from now.
Tries to chase down Cooley. Most of those top 5 have separated, and this is the largest gap we have seen tonight between first and second place. Michael Mitchum had at max a 7/10 of a second lead over the second place truck in Dalton Millen, but that was on lap 2 of 120. Here at lap 68, Connor Euroshak up by 1.2 seconds and counting. He is putting in way faster laps, almost to the T of about 0.2 faster than Michael Mitchum is. So Euroshak, ever since stepping into clean air, has been one of the, if not the fastest truck on the racetrack right now. So impactful here as we enter 50 laps to go. Euroshak looking to become the winningest driver out of anyone in the top 70 this season. Looks to beat 2 other drivers who have 2 wins in the campaign. One of those being Jake Matheson, who's won several races in Split 1. So Euroshak making the most of what he's been earning here at the second half of this race.
For sure, and you mentioned Jake Madison, another driver for Nexus Esports, going out, tearing it up in the top split too. So Nexus Esports, they've got a good little program going on so far in the Road to Pro ladder, and hopefully that leads to very good success in round 2, hopefully to get a few of those trucks back to the Contender Series like they did with guys like Kwame Scott last year, who made it through the Road to Pro ladder, made it all the way to the Coke Series as well, and hopefully they can do that with a few more drivers this coming season. But still a long way to go. We're pretty much going to be halfway through the qualifying series after tonight. We right smack dab in the middle between rounds 1 and 2. A lot of time, but we can really see the potential of guys like Nexus Esports and a lot of other teams that are really on the comeback trail, it seems like.
Here are 3 trucks who have found some struggles over the course of the night from the track Too Tough to Tame. It begins with Anthony Permoda. Got into Matt Danson and sent that 30 truck into the outside wall, entering turn 3 earlier on in the race, and then River Hayes collected in that huge parking lot accident, the exit of turn 4. Hayes, like we talked about, barely on the edge of top 70 status. From 66th in point standings going into tonight's race. Certainly didn't want that accident to hamper him early on, but since he's done a pretty nice job of recovering, he's almost in top 20 territory if he can get around that truck right in front of him of Permoda, although he does have to hold off the great charge here from Danton out of Altus Engineering. So we'll keep an eye on Hayes as we move forward, but it appears everyone has settled into their rhythm, and this could be the marker, Daniel, to where you're going to think about that final pit stop. We're 31 laps into this stint with about 48 laps to go. We know these guys cannot make it on the tank of fuel that they're on right now. So what's the biggest concern here, and how do you attack this stint specifically, knowing that there's at least one stop to go?
Yeah, just kind of when, like, just the timing of it. Like, when do you want to make that last pit stop? Because obviously you don't want to pit and get trapped by a yellow, just like a lot of guys did a couple weeks ago at Dover. But you don't want to wait too long and have to try to make up all that time as well. So you're going to have to try to find that perfect time to pit, where it is going to be important to be on fresh tires, considering how much fall off we have. Because looking at these guys right now, some of these guys have been running some really fast laps. As we go back to Connor Euroshak, he ran his fast lap on lap 52 at a 28.84. And right now on lap 74, about 20 laps later, a 30.88. So the fall off is huge right now of just over 2 seconds. So once you put on those fresh tires, you're going to be feeling like Superman, but they're going to fall off real quick.
It's been fun to watch, though, for Euroshak. Extends this lead to 1.7 seconds, and even worse for Mitchum, who's falling off the race leader. He's at the mercy of being passed for second. Might drop to a race worst third place, which is a pretty much a win for almost everyone else, but for Mitchum, this is his worst over the night. Dalton Millam is starting to catch up in his number 34 Chevrolet. Good run out of turn 2. The onboard look from Millam, who's been sort of up and down throughout second split of the RTP year. And he's doing nice here inside at 3 and 4. They're going to look for second place on Mitchum, who's been quite loose over the last several laps.
Yeah, you can just notice that right there. A lot of sliding there out of that 38 machine, which is something you just cannot do, especially at a place like Darlington, or even just with this tire model in general. Any bit of sliding with those rear tires, even on just sliding the front tires, like getting tight off the corner too, that will just greatly affect, just overheat the tires, put them to great effect, and it'll make you miserable for the rest of the run. And that's just coming from personal experience, who has done it many, many times in his sim racing career. So you can easily take my word for it, as we had a nice little battle there for second, continuing as Dom Blom still continuing to close in, and Connor Euroshak, he's continuing to open up that gap with now just over a 2-second lead. So right now, Connor Euroshak, just like he's been almost his entire season up to this point, he is hooked up and he is just out for a drive. There's contact on turn number 2. Mitchum is around. They're on the apron. I don't know what on earth has just happened with Michael Mitchum and Dalton Malam had contact off turn number 2, and there's some sort of issue going on right now.
This is off of turn 2, like you said. Mitchum slow out of turn 2. Millam gets into him, and hard into the inside wall goes the Mitchum truck. I'm not sure what happened. The onboard look for Mitchum out of turn 4. We'll see what happens here in 1 and 2 that causes this almost yellow flag.
It looked like there was some sort of mechanical issue there. I don't know if he had like issue with like his wheel or pedal, but like he just, I saw it out of the corner of my eye on my screen. It just seemed like he just checked up just so abruptly off of turn number 2. And like his wheels, like, you see that his wheels like all the way to the left right there. I don't know, like he had a wheel failure or something, but for a guy who started on the pole, has led the most laps up to this point, who really needed another good run, this is going to be this is definitely not going to help his chances of getting a good finish, but he has made it back to pit road. I imagine he's got a meatball that he's got to fix, as well. We got tempers over the radio right now as we see some pit stops going on. We got a lot of stuff that's getting crazy right now.
Dalton Millam was probably asking what just happened there. He wasn't sure how that all unfolded, and it looks like, from the look on board with Mitchum, as here comes Millam down pit road with a bunch of others behind him. This is where green flag stops is kicking in with about 40 laps to go. That's going to be a mechanical issue from the hardware side. A lot of times in real life, you'll see drivers in their cars have real mechanical issues with components in the engine, components in the suspension, or just wherever with the electrical components or mechanical parts of the car. But here in sim racing, where you don't have random engine failures or failures of other kinds, you're going to have them on the hardware side. And it looks like maybe the screen went black or something went down with Mitchum that effectively takes him out of contention to win this race. So it has turned sour more than halfway through the outing for Mitchum, as John Hall, Carson Bowers among those that pit this time on lap 82.
And I don't think that greatly affected Malam as much. He did definitely lose some time on the racetrack, but I don't think he sustained too much damage. So I think he's all right. He's still rolling, or he came down pit road for a green flag stop, as we see Daniel Nandy's now on pit road. Dylan Pettis, he's calling out. He's coming to pit road. So a lot of service going down here in the pit lane as Euroshack continues to lead. Will Cooley is still on the track. Robbie Verbal still on the track. Crowder, Armstrong. Some of these guys are still on the racetrack, and they're going to continue rolling, as I believe Robbie Verbal just called out. He's coming to the pit lane. Yep, there he is. He's coming to the pit lane right there. The 35 machine. Oh no, there you see Will Cooley. He's coming in as well. So I feel like we're going to be expecting Connor Euroshack any lap now.
He's been pulling out to a huge gap, and this time it's 4.8 seconds. It was 3.1 around the time that Cooley came down to the lane. So really fun to see the different laps that these drivers are coming in, but for Millham, that has to be a pretty big hit for him. He did not expect all that to happen. He's fallen a lap down. He's down to 18th place and yearning to get back to the front, as here's Euroshack, race leader, making the charge to pit road. Easy does it, does avoid a pit road speeding penalty, and so Ashton Crowder will take away the race lead here with about 37 laps to go from Darlington.
Ashton Crowder going to continue to stay on the racetrack here, going to maybe go a few extra laps. Maybe he'll try to go along and see if he can catch a caution, because that did happen in the top split race. Some guys going long doing a one-stop benefited and got a caution that they needed. So we could see another caution and end up another pit cycle. There's Will Cooley. He's leaving the pit lane, getting back on the track. That's a nice little onboard. Look at that nice, beautiful iRacing avatar going to work there into turns 3 and 4 on fresh tires. And just take a look at this. Look at what fresh tires does. You're gonna feel like Superman right here. Just rolling on the bottom. Oh, a little loose right there. A little bit of cold tires. Get them up to temperature. But here, you're gonna feel like Superman as he's gonna go through turns 1 and 2 here, as he's getting passed up by Adam Garza right here. Just flying through turns 1 and 2 right here. And just, it is amazing how much fresh tires feel. And as you see, Connor Euroshack, he's getting back on the racetrack right now. And, oh, sorry, that was Robbie Verbal Jr. we were riding on board with, I believe. But right now, it seems like all the pit stops have cycled out, because Ashton Crowder has come to the pit lane. Joe Armstrong and Matt Danson, River Hayes are all staying out. And there's the caution! Just like I was mentioning, I am so good with the commentator's curse tonight. That is Cody Johnson inside of the front stretch. And for guys like Joe Armstrong, Matt Danson, River Hayes, Joshua Valiant, Derek Heitman, this is the caution they needed, and this is going to work out beautifully. And this race is just flipped on its head, just like Dover 2 weeks ago.
And in turn, a ton of drivers will fall a lap down. Cody Johnson, the man Here's the look down the Boeing backstretch. They go side by side. There were two drivers that at the moment were pretty good on their situation, still waiting to come down pit road. Then Heitman and Johnson make a bit of the contact. Heitman gets into Johnson down the straightaway and into the wall. Goes to Chevrolet, bringing out the yellow with 33 laps to go. Matt Danson and all these guys who stayed out this long, ton of them spending a majority of this race near the rear of the field.
8 cars on the lead lap. Logan Helton is actually going to receive the free pass here. So just an unlucky break for a lot of these guys here. And there you see Logan Helton is going to be recipient of the lucky dog. But guys like Armstrong, Danson, Hayes, they've had rough races. And as Derek Heitman was not happy with Cody Johnson over the radio. But this is going to help to Derek Heitman's benefit, because he was 5th place when the caution came out. So in the end, he may not be happy, but this is going to be helping with great effect, as we're going to have a lot of wave rounds under this caution flag.
And here are all the drivers coming out of pit road this time. River Hayes unleashing Joe Armstrong and Matt Danson in front of him. And they will lead this charge of the lead lap trucks that are off of pit road. Cody Johnson, Brandon Hawk are in turn going to stay out, but we could anticipate them coming in at any given point, although Johnson is going to remain out on the racetrack with 39 lap-old tires, with Brandon Hawk behind on 40 lap-old Goodyear Eagles. So this throws the race for a loop. 32 laps to go. We could get a restart with under 30 left. Ton of drivers getting the wave around, and all in turn, Connor Euroshak in all of this falls to 19th. He was the race leader as we were going through green flag stops. Then the caution comes out. Euroshak has to charge his way through the field and get through a lot of guys that he is yet to battle with all night long.
And for Euroshak, he was on the opposite end of this 2 weeks ago at Dover. He went long, as he said in I believe in our interview, that he could make it on fuel, no issue, but him staying out, caution fell for him, and unfortunately he pits, and he's on the opposite end of it, unfortunately. So, unfortunate night for Euroshak. He's going to be a recipient of the wave round, just like many, many others here. So, yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do if he's going to get a good finish, but I think his chances for the win are looking a little tougher now.
He still has some fresh Goodyear Eagles, but yeah, it's really going to be tough at this point with Armstrong, Danson, Hayes, Ballier, all of these trucks that have hung around the mid-pack or have found some trouble throughout the night at Darlington, and now with a breath of fresh air. And I mean that literally for Joe Armstrong. He's going to have the cleanest air out of anyone in the field. With his throwback paint scheme, he'll lead some laps for the first time tonight. And it's all about how he can hold on for at least the next 30 or so if we do not get another yellow flag. So at the moment, it's Armstrong the leader, Matt Danson back in second, River Hayes to top 3 position, Joshua Ballier in 4th, Derek Heitman to round out the top 5, then Logan Helton, who got the wave around first. He's back in 6th with a repaired Roasted Gems Coffee Ford F-150. Patrick Gitter back to 7th, although he's hitting pit road, and the same can be said for Brandon Hawk, who hits the lane, and a bunch of others, Dalton Millam, John Hall, Kyle Dragon, then Nate Stewart, Carson Bowers, Adam Garza, Will Cooley, Daniel Nanny, Justin Levine, Connor Euroshak, and a bunch of others. It is really chaotic as we will double them up at the front of the field. Look at this, Daniel. Everyone is waiting to catch up. They are all over the place. I'm not sure whether we'll have a clean green flag restart this time. Look at that. About 6 trucks in one line, everyone else needing to go around.
Yeah, that was a lot of trucks. And you see Logan Helton, this is going to work out great for him because even though he was the first truck a lap down, he got the lucky dog, and he's going to restart with all of these guys up here. So this has worked a great effect. And unfortunately for Ashton Crowder, he's now the first guy a lap down that's going to be restarting in the sixth spot, but he's a lap down to 27. So unfortunately, he tried to go long, but he pitted at the wrong time, so that was unfortunate for him as the pace car is going to pull off. And here we go. Our first, someone different other than Michael Mitchum is going to lead a restart, and it's Joseph Armstrong as he takes away. And look, there's guys in the back. They're still trying to catch up, guys.
And with all of that, iRacing in the official session does not delay the yellow flag because of that. So in turn, a ton of guys are going to be behind the 8 ball on the restart. Door to door for second at the exit of turn 2. River Hayes charging on the inside of Matt Danson. Help from behind by Ballier up top. Danson edges out in turns 3 and 4. And Armstrong pulls away to half a second and more. 28 to go at the stripe.
He is going to drive away. River Hayes, he was involved in an incident earlier. Him and Matt Danson, I believe, that were swept up in turn 3. And look at them. They are now battling for second place up here in the top 3. What a turnaround it's been. They got the caution they needed. As Ballier, he gets a bit of the wall as he's battling with River Hayes. Hayes is going to take that 3rd spot. Ballier back to 4th, but he's lost a lot of momentum. As here comes Logan Helton. We're going to try 3 wide. No, he's going to back out of it as Derek Heitman, who was just involved in that caution with Cody Johnson. That helped to his benefit. He's now in 5th.
Thought about 3 wide for a moment, and for a lot of these guys, this is a shocker. They did not expect to be up here this late in the going with all that was going down. And for Helton, Heitman, Ballier, all of these guys who faced trouble early in the race, now having this sacred opportunity to run up front and get a great points position at the end of all of this. We know that guys like Derek Heitman and Helton, they're nearing the cut line going into this race and the end of round 1, so they probably need a secure finish at Darlington to at least know that they will be good going into Charlotte 2 weeks from now. Not pushing the issue here. 1st through 6th separated by 1.6 seconds.
1.6 second separation right there as we see Joseph Armstrong. He is continuing to pull away. Probably got the cleanest truck out of the top 3 or 4 because of all the incidents that Danton, River Hayes, and all these guys have been in. But Armstrong trying to hang on here for these final 26 laps. And this is something we got to think about because these guys still have some tire sets waiting in the pits in case we get another caution. Because if we go maybe another 10, 15 laps here, I would expect to see some more pit stops because definitely with a lot of tire wear and how much fall off is, there's probably going to be one more pit stop if we have a caution near the end of this thing. But you see Joseph Armstrong there. He started this race in 26th position, and he's now up in the lead. Looking at Matt Danton, he started 31st. He's in 2nd. River Hayes has started 23rd. He's in 3rd. Josh Valier started 18th. He's 4th. Derek Heitman started 32nd. He's 5th. Just how much this race is shaken up just from that one caution flag in the middle of a pit cycle once again.
A ton of drivers in the top 10 who started 20th or worse now up here with a chance to win it. They still have to catch up to Armstrong, who has pulled out to about an 0.8 of a second lead over this Altus Engineering Chevrolet of Matt Danton. And you brought up the different tire sets that are still available for the field. That's a big if. If we get the caution flag, that's when you'll need to use it. But until then, if you run this one all the way home under green, you need to worry about what track position you need to gain at that very moment versus what you could gain if the field gets bunched up again. And with the fact that everybody got thrown off from that restart, catching up to the main packets basically separated all of these guys. It almost appears, Daniel, that these guys are on a long green flag run instead of fresh off the restart. They're all thinned out, single file. A look from Daniel Nanny, who's in the middle of this quartet, as Will Cooley looks to charge on the inside of Adam Garza, which is 411.
Yeah, for sure. We see Eurosag is back in 14th place, trying to see if he can get back to the top 10. Probably the fastest truck here in Darlington Raceway. And you see he's trying to work back up through the field, but he's buried in a lot of traffic, back in a lot of dirty air. He's trying to just fight through it, trying to get to the end of this race. Just an unfortunate break from who looked like a man who was well on his way to a 3rd win in the 2nd split, but this guy was making his job a little bit harder. But he's plenty fast enough, but he's not got a lot of time to do so. And these guys are getting a little more aggressive with their moves because simply time is running out. And these guys need to get all these spots and can get all these points because their chance of getting points is running out because we only got one more race left after this week. As we see, we got a nice little battle here for, I believe, that is P10 between Dalton Malam, and I believe, I'm trying to pick out who that other truck is in the 56. That is, I believe,
Johan Seminario. These are drivers two laps down.
Oh, those are guys. Okay, never mind. That's why I couldn't find them on my scoring sheet because these guys are all out of line. Those guys really got messed up by that caution flag right there. So this running order is definitely messing with me a little bit and trying to figure out some of these paint schemes because some of these custom schemes I am not used to right now. But that's just crazy how much this field's gotten all bunched up, especially for someone like Dalton Malam, who really had his race screwed up first with Michael Mitchum, and then just having that poorly timed yellow.
It's one yellow that changes everything, and it makes it even more confusing when you put that yellow in the middle of green flag stops, because you have guys that are a lap down or more than others who aren't, those who are getting the wave around, and you saw the wacky restart earlier in the race. I mean, probably you're going to have some wacky positioning, and that's why you're seeing that position on tap for 28th on the racetrack happen in front of the lead lap 11th place truck in Adam Garza, which you're looking at center of your screen, holding off a pretty sizable group of trucks with Cooley, Nanny, Yaroshak, and John Hall right behind all of these guys. So they have to get through a bit of the lap traffic, which adds even more confusion and difficulty to their move in going for top position, because you don't have trucks on the horizon and say, hey, those are positions for points. Those are just two trucks you have to get around, and they're going door to door.
They are going door to door, indeed. As Adam Garza, he's had an up and down race, carrying the EPI banner, trying to have another good run to hopefully set himself up for a good points night. As there you see Connor Yaroshak trying to go inside of Daniel Nanny right there, and he's going to try to get the move done here in turns 1 and 2. He's going to get really tight down here. Nanny's going to hang on to that outside lane, carry the momentum, and that's something that I've noticed. Just guys entering really high in turns 1 and 2, kind of like that Kyle Larson line that we've been seeing in real life over the last couple of years. Entering really high in turns 1 and 2 allows you to just have like a much more straighter, just more smooth entry in the corner to carry that speed. As Yaroshak, he's going to try to put it on the fence, try to stop a run on Nanny. Nanny covers it, but here comes the drive off turn number 4. You're going to have a little bit of a side draft right here, going back down to turn number 1. Nanny's not going to give this up easily. This is for P13. There's a slight bit of contact right there. And that's what you got to do to try and make a pass here, which is how narrow the racing line is. Side by side off turn number 2. There's more contact. Euroshack's going to lose out badly. But there's John Hall, his Nexus teammate, going to try to give him a little bit of a push.
It tells you it doesn't really matter the difference in tires between these two, because Euroshack has 2-lap better tires than Nanny right in front of him, but yet still could not complete the pass in 1 and 2. And here are the approach to the lap trucks, and it starts with that 56 of Seminario. Leading this pack lead lap wise is Adam Garza, who's under fire from Will Cooley. And here's where they can either get held up or split because of that lap truck.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely just so many guys out of place right now going into turns 3 and 4. Will Cooley, he's going to make the move down the inside. This is for P number 11. Then there's Nanny and Euroshack. Euroshack trying to stop another run. Oh, he gets a little loose, has a little bit of contact right there. And look at Nanny. He's going to get a big run off turn 4. Gets to the outside of Will Cooley. They're going to be side by side for P12. And that's going to allow Euroshack to maybe sneak to the outside as well. This is going to be really tight off turn number 2. And they're going to make it work. Euroshack is going to get another spot, but look at Will Cooley. He is going to be the biggest loser out of this spot right here. He went from battling for P11 back to battling for P15.
Those are 6 trucks under a blanket if you're not counting the lap truck of Seminario in front and adding another one to the hurt for Cooley. Here comes Rabel Jr. and his Chevrolet. The 2 Maconi Setup Shop sponsored Silverados going at it. Rabel will get the spot. Cooley falling back to 15th on the lead lap. So it is torn up the entirety of this field. Everyone all over the place here at Darlington with about 13 left to go and counting. Race leader Joe Armstrong still up by 1.3 seconds over Matt Danson. Ballier back to 3rd. Logan Helton and River Hayes rounding out the current top 5. And I'd imagine as a driver, Daniel, when you're approaching lap traffic the way that Adam Garza is, sure, he hasn't lost any track position, although he was at threat of having that situation happen. It might be a little frustrating with a lap truck in front of you, and then knowing that there's, give or take, 5 trucks that are waiting for you to put up a mistake. It could be really frustrating when you cannot get around the lap truck at a track that is so narrow and so difficult to attempt passes.
As you see, and we see that with car Euroshack, very fast tonight, but as you see, he just gets buried in the pack, and it's just so hard to go anywhere when you lose that track position, especially at the end of these races where everyone is going to get aggressive, everyone's going to be at their fastest, and just trying to hang on right there. So, as you see, Euroshack, he's going to try to step another run. As John Hall, you see he's back there too, 2 Nexus guys. They were looking fast early on. Look at that dive down to the inside. Euroshack going to try to get this pass. Oh, there's going to be a little bit of rubbing to 3 or 4. Nanny's going to pinch him off of 4. And they're going to have a little bit of contact. Going to try to side draft down off turn number 4. And here go back down to the front straightaway. Back into turn number 1. Side by side once again. They're going to try roughing each other up. Oh, leaving him hardly any room. Oh, he's going to put him in the wall. They're going to be stuck together. They're going to hang on to it. And Euroshack's going to get the place, but Nanny is not going to be happy about that.
And they were 3 wide momentarily. You saw John Hall helping his Nexus teammate in Euroshack get the advantage down the front straight. The outside wall, and that's exactly what happened for both of them. The look from both of the Ford F-150s into 1 and 2 once again. It's just so close, so narrow when you want to carry all that momentum. Euroshack slides up right into Nanny. Both of them get the safer barrier. 3 wide momentarily as John Hall made the position.
Oh my goodness!
Caution is out again.
There's a caution.
With 9 to go.
What did I say? What did I say earlier? Like, this is the 3rd time this has happened now that I predicted a caution, or I've been talking about cautions, and then we get one. And I think it actually involves Daniel Lanning.
By Euroshack. This is him in 1 and 2 the next lap.
I gets help from another.
Ow!
Gets help from another Nexus truck. Nexus is not being nice to him these last couple of laps. That was the 21 machine right there of Kyle Dragon. Just rough end Kyle, Mr. Daniel Nanny's night right there. As we'll get another look at this. As we got the leaders coming to pit road for tires. You see, just hooks him. Pow! Puts him to the fence. Kyle Dragon's gonna gets a lot of damage from that as well. But we got guys on pit road, so we'll see what the strategy is here.
Armstrong is in, Ballier, Danson, and everyone else on the lead lap coming in. This is what those guys needed at the mid-pack in order to have a remote shot at winning this race. Under 8 to go. And these guys all in for 4 fresh tires and fuel. Derek Heitman is out.
Oh.
Joe Armstrong is as well.
2 tires.
These are different calls on display. River Hayes is going to be one of the first trucks out, as well as Connor Euroshak, who's going to win the race off. And he's going to come in this time. Hayes is going to win it out.
Yeah, Euroshak was still coming into his pit box. He was way out the pit lane, but River Hayes, he's going to try 2 tires here, along with Derek Heitman and a few others. Joseph Armstrong came out in 3rd. He is the first truck on 4 tires. So is Matt Danson. And I believe Joshua Balliet, I believe he is on 2 tires as well, or he's on 4 tires as well. We got some mixed strategies up here. These guys are going to try to go for the win here as we see Logan Helton. Oh, I think he might have got a speeding penalty as he's having to let all these guys by.
Everyone going through Logan Helton, who was in the top 6 when that last caution came out under green flag stops, and possibly, yes, speeding on pit road as he was coming out. So Connor Euroshak and the rest of the company will move on by. Euroshak back to 7th place as he gets around Ashton Crowder, who just hits pit road. So it gives Euroshak a spot in the top 10. And in turn, Robbie Vrabel Jr. is going to be the race leader on 31-lap old tires.
Oh,
with a bit over 5 to go.
I have not see this. Someone trying to stay out, and this is why I am glad I am in the booth, so I don't have to experience this bull crap that's about to go down right here. Robbie Vrabel Jr. running down the order, got affected from that pit cycle, so now he is gonna have to try to manage 30-lap old tires. And I did the same thing in the Contender Series a couple months back. I had no tire sets left. I had to stay out on a GWC. I managed to hang on and finish 10th. So I've had prior experience with this, but hopefully Verbal here is going to hopefully have a same experience like I did. Just get through the restart, just try not to spin your tires, and just get through and just try to get to the flag. But he is going to drop down the order really, really quickly here.
It's not going to be an easy task for Vrabel at all at a track that really eats up the Goodyear Eagles, and I assume that he's doing this just for the track position. He's hoping that another caution comes out and we end up in eNASCAR overtime to the point where he doesn't have to use what's left of his Goodyear Eagles, and everyone else will just equalize because they can't use the fresh rubber that they actually have. For River Hayes, this will be his shot at his first win in the Road to Pro season in 2024, and a lot will go the same for Derek Heitman. You know, Matt Danson, Joshua Balliet, a lot of these guys who have yet to win, especially in our split. And then look at a driver who's won 2 already in Connor Euroshak, who will restart in 7th. And Joe Armstrong, who's one of the top 3 in the top 70 in standings this season. 4 to go at the stripe. If we get another yellow, we will head into eNASCAR overtime and double them up for a 2-lap to go restart. If we go green until the end, the white flag will decide this race. Basically, we will not have a caution affect the field. Until then, they're going to run to the checkered flag no matter what. Robbie Vrabel Jr. on the oldest set of tires in the field at 32. Going to be 33 laps for him. Everyone else just pitted under the recent caution. Some 2-tire calls, some 4-tire calls, and everyone will settle out at the exit of turn 4. Pace car is down. The early jump by Vrabel. 4 laps to go from Darlington Raceway.
Gets the jump he needed, and here comes Joe Armstrong, excuse me. He got a great restart. He was able to filter out, get a hole. He's going to drive in 1-2 on 4 of those 4 Goodyear tires. He's going to make it work. He's up to 2nd. River Hayes falls back to P3, but he's still hanging on, and Robbie Vrabel Jr., he's about to get swallowed up right here. Going into turn 3, Joe Armstrong. He's going to fire down the inside of turns 3 and 4 here, and he is going to clear easily. Put Joe Armstrong on 4 tires back to the lead with 3 laps to go. And so far, this has been pretty clean so far. Everyone's keeping it straight. River Hayes is starting to fall back a little bit on those 2 tires, but he's trying to hang on as best he can. With Matt Danson, he's on 4 tires going for a spot 2, as Joe Armstrong's driving away from the pack, as we got a little contact for P2 with Balliet and Verbal.
And a bunch of drivers ricocheting off of the outside wall in turn 2, almost a look at 3 wide from Nate Stewart. River Hayes is sideways, right in front of Euroshak. He's trying to hold on to it. Everyone else goes to the inside, and they make their way through. Hayes is going to keep it collected. 2 laps to go with Armstrong out front. And
out
contact
front,
in turn 1 sends Vrabel up into the wall.
He's trying to hang on those old tires. Everyone's getting really crazy. 2 laps to go. And there's a big crash off turn 2. Adam Garza's around. Patrick Gitters in the inside wall. Cody Johnson, he's going to kill the inside wall. too much action's going down right now. And we are going once again for, I believe, the 6th time this season, we are going to eNASCAR overtime.
Cody Johnson in the heart of the accident, and Adam Garza, who had been performing well for most of this race, severely torn up and his suspension basically gone. Daniel, it will spell trouble, and it did here.
It did spell trouble. I'm surprised these guys made it longer than they did. I thought these guys were going to make it all the way back, but yeah, Cody Johnson just got in the wall there. Then Garza, he went for it. He tried to go down at the bottom, but just 3 wide through turns, especially through turn 2 with how narrow that is off the corner. It was never going to work 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, but he tried to go for it, and unfortunately that's going to cost him a good finish. It's going to cost him a lot of points, as Robbie Verbal, he was trying to hang on there, and I cannot even get words out of my mouth right now. I'm having a stroke over here. But there you see Patrick Gitters in the inside wall. Cody Johnson gets hooked into the wall too. It's not been a good night for a lot of these guys, but for Joe Armstrong on 4 tires, that is the restart he needed. He is back out front. Matt Danson on 4 tires is in 2nd. Great runs for a lot of these guys, absolutely need it. And there you see Cody Johnson just hanging on the outside. And then just gets hooked back to the left. Boom, inside wall.
Nothing there for Johnson to do when he strikes the wall. Everybody else is going to pick up on the mistake. And there's Joe Armstrong, the look on board, as he will face eNASCAR overtime here from Darlington, as everyone will catch the iRacing official pace car. It appears for Adam Garza, his night is pretty much over. He drop kicks through the field as he hits pit road to fix all the damage on his truck. Cody Johnson is also in, set to possibly be a lap down from the leaders if he does not come out in time. And now we're within 2 laps to go from the track too tough to tame. Here in eNASCAR overtime, here's how we do it. We line up the field just like we do on every single restart. We will have 3 attempts to finish this race under the checkered flag. If we get the white flag, the race will resume like normal. No caution will affect the race, and we'll run to the checkered flag no matter what happens. However, if we do get a caution before the leader takes the white flag, we will re-rack them and do it all over again. And if we do exhaust all 3 of our attempts at overtime, the winner will be decided by who's at front on the final caution of the 3rd attempt. Joe Armstrong searching for the win here in 2nd split with Matt Danson, who was basically out of contention for the win for most of the night until that caution came out midway through green flag stops. Joshua Ballier and Derek Heitman, 2 other Chevrolets, looking for their first win here in 2nd split. Nate Stewart back in 5th. Carson Bowers, who won at Texas earlier this season, back in 6th place. And a bunch of others sprinkled in the mix. Well, this is going to be exciting, Daniel, with 2 to go.
It's going to be 2 laps remaining. Joseph Armstrong. Get ready to see everyone here on turn 4 go straight to the aim, because that's what we've been seeing here the last couple of restarts, as we're actually going to have 1 more pace lap. So we got to wait 1 more lap before these guys get going. These guys are trying to fool us, going double file already. But yeah, just it's been a great race so far. A lot of action, a lot of comers and goers. That the field has just got so mixed up from that caution cycle. Just everything has gone crazy here. And for a lot of these guys up front, I bet they're all just thinking, just get this truck home, just give me my points, and let's just get to Charlotte with at least a chance to lock in, or just have a great chance to get the job done in 2 weeks' time. So for someone like Joseph Armstrong, starting at 26, he's now leading the race with a good shot to park this thing in victory lane. He's got to hold off hard charging Matt Danson, who has had one of the roughest nights of anybody, who was involved in an earlier caution right around the first half of the race. He's rallied. He managed to catch the caution, went long, and got that, is up here in P2 now. So a lot of these guys just want to finish, and we'll see how this turns out.
Armstrong looking for his 2nd Road to Pro win this season. He is 3rd in point standings going into tonight. Beautiful looking race truck with a chance to occupy victory lane from Darlington. 2 laps to go on our first attempt at eNASCAR overtime in 2nd split. We're glad you're tuned in with us on FTN for coverage of split 2 of the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. Armstrong and Danson going to the flag. Green flag with 2 laps to go on our first attempt at OT.
And we got some guys 3 wide. That's Carson Bowers going up the middle into turns 1 and 2. We'll see how well this is going to end. Hyman, he's going to get put into the fence. He's going to fall back in several places as Joseph Armstrong. He's going to get a great restart. He's going to drive away. Matt Danton is going to fire it off at turn number 2. And they're wrecking in the back. They are wrecking in the back.
He's behind
sorry,
them.
Verbal. Oh, there it is.
Caution flag is out now. Second attempt on the way as Vrabel goes for the spin.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be able to keep it green right there. But Verbal just kind of came back up onto the racetrack, and that triggered the yellow flag. That is someone who tried to stay out on old tires. And unfortunately, it's not going to work out for him. He's probably going to be coming to the pit lane, put some fresh tires on, and make one last charge here. But just, gets kind of hip checks off of, I believe that was Derek Heitman. And spins off the wall there, and then just spins it back into the traffic, brings up the caution flag. Just kind of unfortunate situation there for Vrabel Jr. I've been saying Verbal all night. I need to get that correct myself. Vrabel Jr. into the inside wall. Definitely not what he needs.
Second hit by River Hayes. Gets him right into the inside wall. An ugly hit for Vrabel. And look at that avoidance right there from the... Staying out, it's not going to pay off at all. He'll hit pit road to fix the damage and potentially get an extra set down before we get our second attempt at overtime in. And at that point, Daniel, when you run at a track so narrow like Darlington, you pack in a bunch of trucks or cars, you're going to get bullied in some way. You're going to get hit, whether it's on the left, right, front, or back. You're going to get hit every which way. And for Vrabel, he could not escape any of the contact, just sort of getting hip checked side by side until he finally went around.
Yeah, for sure. Just unfortunate ending there. So Vrabel's going to come in, put on fresh tires, try to make one last charge after he did stay out, as looks like, I believe that's Dalton Milam coming around to take the lucky dog here. But someone I want to go to, Carson Bowers. What a move he made on that last restart. Restarted 8th, and he went to 4th. I don't know if we can quickly get a replay on that, but he got aggressive. I've been talking about people need to get aggressive, or people might try to get aggressive on these restarts because that's your best chance to pass. And he took full advantage. Saw a hole open up the middle. He took it and picked up 4 spots on that restart. And that was a very good run by him there. And see if he can maybe pick off 1 or 2 more on this next restart. We are going to go to attempt number 2. Hopefully this ain't end up like Tuesday night where we can actually finish under green, and I have partial blame to that for not ending under green the other night. But we'll see if these guys can try to end it under green, unlike what we could do on Tuesday.
I was about to say that eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race had to exhaust all 3 attempts at the green-white checkered until Dylan Duvall was declared the winner on the final restart as everyone crashed behind. But this is going to be crucial for Armstrong, who had a great launch off of turn 4 and pulled out to what might have been his second of an advantage over Danson and Ballier, who are tussling for second place behind this 22 truck. So if that happens again, Armstrong is golden as long as they don't wreck behind him to capture his second win of his 2024 Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series season. And in second split, this is the 5th time that we enter eNASCAR overtime. We did so for the first 4 races in a row. And then at Texas and Dover, we had some green flag racing to end the event. We're finally back to overtime in the penultimate race of the first round, with Armstrong the leader, Danson second, Ballier, Bowers, and Stewart your top 5. Euroshak up to 6th place, Heitman to 7th, Edward Scher Jr., a name we haven't called all night long, is up to 8th after starting in 27th. Santiago Tires, pretty beat up Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, but he started 33rd. He's up to 9th. And then Will Cooley, who's been at the back of all of this while the caution came out under green flag cycles, and while everyone was cycling through on the restart after that, well, he's have a shot in the top 10 right now. 2 laps to go on the next restart, our second attempt at overtime. Armstrong the leader. And I'd assume, Daniel, we're probably going to see the same deal out of Armstrong like we've seen out of Michael Mitchum all night long. Just charge the apron out of 4, go as early as possible. You have to pose that question, how long is too long until Danson and all of these guys pick the memo up?
Well, it's good. Also, these guys don't want to give themselves a black flag either, and they don't want to cause a huge stack of where it's going to wreck the whole field. But unlike in the official series, you do have the restart zone where you have a smaller window of when you can try to time it. You have a better shot of timing it. But here, it's wide open, and it's been pretty clear when people are going. They're going right off at turn 4, and they're going early. So if they can just time it, well, we're going to have to wait one more lap because they have just delayed the caution flag. So we're going to have to wait one more lap before we see what happens. But if these guys can pick up the memo and they can just time this perfectly, they can just chase Armstrong down the track and just maybe pick up that run off the corner, give him a little bit of side drive going to turn 1 and 2. We'll have a lot of action. But I mean, we'll see what happens. We've seen a lot of crazy things happen on restarts this season, so we'll see what happens.
Probably the craziest restarts we'll have here, because even before you get to the start-finish line, you've got 3-wide action. Just because everybody has hit the apron, some guys get the better jump than others, specifically on the inside. And like we saw on the product of that caution, even though it happened while drivers were normal side-by-side, we saw 3 wide up until turn 1 when everybody sort of settled back into 2 abreast. And we will have the lights off from the iRacing official pace car, just waiting to see if it'll happen again behind Joe Armstrong, who will lead this field back to the restart. With this penultimate race of Road to Pro in round 1, we know it gets awfully close for those drivers that are right around top 70 territory and that cut line. And one of the names we mentioned going into the race was Derek Heitman, who is 37 points off of top 70. He runs 7th on the restart and needs a good finish if he wants to stay alive in his Road to Pro campaign. Armstrong and Danson, your top 2 on the front row as the pace car makes the trip to pit road. Our second attempt at eNASCAR overtime is underway from Darlington.
Everyone, and I mean everyone, was on the apron at turn 4 that time. What a great start for Armstrong. They're going to be side by side in turns 1 and 2. Here comes, oh, Bowers, he's loose, and he's up in the wall in turns 1 and 2. He's going to lose a lot of spots, and they're going to be wrecking everywhere. They're sideways. Are they wrecking there? They got a big wreck off turn number 2. That's going to bring out a caution once again, and that is going to lead us to a third and final green-white checkered finish. But it all started with Bowers getting a little loose, maybe got up in the marbles up there in the turns 1 and 2. He just got really, really loose all of a sudden. And after a great restart, the restart before, it's all going to lead to nothing on this next one.
And watch this from Bowers. He is loose from the get-go entering turn 1, catches the outside wall. Will Cooley charges in 3 wide, then Logan Helton and a bunch of others. Cooley it sustains a heavy hit to the outside wall. David Brown is going to get through all.
Yeah, just a lot. Yeah, just a lot of people could not go anywhere just being that buried deep in the pack, as we'll take a look at it. And he didn't get touched or anything. He just went into the corner, just got a little loose, and that just got away from him. And then you see Will Cooley, Logan Helton, and others trying to avoid it. And unfortunately, that's what it came to be. Collect a few trucks in the back right there. Like you said, David Brown had a very nice avoidance right there. Someone who had a good run last week or a couple weeks ago at Dover to get up the points. And that's going to help him with a lot of trucks wrecking right there. But now we are in the same, we are in another situation where we're going to overtime, but this will be the third and final one. We have not had a race end under caution yet this season here in the second split, but we'll see what happens here as we ride on board here. Gets into Ashton Crowder a little right there. Crowder gets through. Nice avoidance there, and you see David Brown, nice use of the brakes, check up. Thankfully, he didn't get arc braked either, and he gets through perfectly fine.
The seas parted for David Brown to move through, and in turn, he slides up to 12th. How about it? Just getting through all the incidents there. It's a really tough track to avoid incidents at, but Brown does a nice job there. And you're right, Daniel. This is going to be the final attempt at eNASCAR overtime, so the time is going to run out. And I'm assuming for Armstrong, he's fine with whatever happens, just because this point situation is all too well. Not to make a Taylor Swift reference there, but it's perfect in the situation that he will advance to round 2 basically no matter what happens tonight and at Charlotte 2 weeks from today. For guys like Danson, Ballier, Stewart, and back there, you know, some of them are also pretty much confirmed into round 2, but a win would certainly turn their season around. A lot of these drivers have gone winless through their first 6 or so races in the first round. Why not get a win that can amplify your momentum and your confidence going into Charlotte and then heading into another 1.5-mile track in Chicagoland when round 2 begins later this summer? So while Armstrong is certainly hungry for a win, I'd say a lot of the guys behind him, Daniel, are much hungrier.
They are, and for a lot of these guys that are near the front of the field, a lot of them are really, at this point, are just thinking points. Just get good points, just finish this race, and just get out of here. Like guys like the Matt Danson, who was involved in the caution earlier. I bet he's just thinking to just get out of here with just a clean race, or I shouldn't say clean race, just get out of here with just a good finish after the rough night he's had. And for a lot of guys, like we see Nate Stewart, he hasn't been up here the whole night, but that caution worked out in his favor, and now he's up here possibly gonna get a top 5 out of this. So a lot of guys have been having good nights. They are right up here when it matters, and they're hopefully gonna try to finish off with some good points going to the final race in Charlotte.
And one of those drivers is Joshua Ballier in the 2 truck, one of the highest I ratings in this second split, but Ballier is 87th in points. 55 points off of the top 70 cut line. So if there's any driver that needs a phenomenal run tonight at Darlington and then again at Charlotte in 2 weeks, it's going to be this truck here at Joshua Ballier, who's going to be on the inside of the second row. This will be our final attempt at eNASCAR overtime here in second split. If we get a caution before the leader takes the white flag, then this race will be official under yellow. But if Armstrong does catches the white and nobody gets into carnage, that will create a yellow flag. We're going to run this race no matter what to that checkered and decide a winner from there. Armstrong, like we said, looking for his second win of the 2024 Road to Pro season. Matt Danson, the highest we've seen him all night long, with a chance at his first win in second split. Joshua Ballier, like we said, deep in the point standings, needing a breakthrough tonight, wanting to see the sunlight through the clouds. Then behind him, Nate Stewart, who spent a bulk of the round 1 latter half of the schedule in second split. Then Derek Heitman behind the 8 ball going into tonight. Santiago Tires, who started deep in this field, and a bulk of others wanting to shape up their story for the end of round 1. Pace cars down, final attempt at overtime. Armstrong through, we're under green again with 2 laps to go.
Here we go, final restart. Let's see if they make it clean. Great restart for Armstrong, and here comes Dylan Pettis. He's going to try to get that second spot from Matt Danson. I think he's barely going to clear that, and he's going to get the spot from Danson. Danson's going to do the crossover off of 2, side by side down into turn number 3. Nate Stewart's going to clear for 4th. Heitman back into 5th. Top 5 single file as Danson's going to throw it back underneath Balliet for P number 2, but it's all Joseph Armstrong as he comes off turn number 4. He's going to see the white flag. We're going to finish this one under green.
Final lap from Darlington. No matter what, we will end this race under the checkered flag. Ballier avoids the crossover attempt by Danson. He'll hold on to second. Nate Stewart runs up to 4th. Derek Heitman looking to hold on to the last spot in the top 5. The half lap left for the 22 of Joe Armstrong, who found himself up front after a caution midway through green flag cycles. This 22 truck is going to win from the track too tough to tame. Armstrong the winner.
And everyone's going to get across the stripe clean. Ballier, Danson, Stewart, Hall the top 5. John Hawley, he just snuck by Derek Heitman there on that last lap. Great top 5 finish for him. Heitman, Anthony Promoda, we never mentioned his name once. He's going to finish 7th. Santiago Tires, Edward Shear Jr., David Brown rounds out the top 10. Just what a mixed up order we had throughout this entire race, especially at the end. Just a lot of names we didn't see near the front. Euroshak, he finished 13th, so he had a little bit of a comeback through there. Unfortunate for him, who dominated most of the second half of this race. But here it is. It's all Joseph Armstrong. He's going to burn it down here on the front straightaway. Much-deserved burnouts. And we apparently got some beef after the checkered flag with Anthony Promoda and a few others. So that's a nice little post-race beef that will be taken care of.
Some tensions to deal with here at Darlington, but the celebrations continue for Joe Armstrong, the winner, here from Darlington, South Carolina. And was hanging around the mid-pack for most of this evening. And like we talked about, green flag cycle in the middle of this race. Caution flag came out. Smack dab in the middle, and Armstrong was one of those benefactor drivers that, to be up front ever since, held on to position, and this will be his second win in his Road to Pro season in 2024. So the 3 truck will celebrate. We'll take a short break and be right back with more coverage of the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series and second split coverage here on FTN.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Welcome back to Darlington Raceway. We're at the end of our coverage from the track Too Tough to Tame. It is Joe Armstrong, the winner, after 136 grueling laps and 3 attempts at overtime. A look at the full race results from South Carolina. Armstrong, the winner, his second W of his 2024 Road to Pro campaign, with Joshua Ballier finishing right behind him. We mentioned how Ballier really desperately needed some points tonight. He's got them in great fashion. Matt Danson for Altus Engineering rounds out your top 3. We'll have a chance potentially to talk to all 3 of them before our coverage wraps up tonight. Nate Stewart back in 4th place after starting in 25th. John Hall for Nexus Esports going to be inside the top 5. Derek Heitman back to 6th place. Anthony Permoda made a big jump near the end of this one to finish in 7th. Santiago Tires rolling from 33rd on the grid. Come back late, he ends up in 8th. Edward Schur, David Brown, River Hayes, and Ashton Crowder, Daniel, round out the top 12 from Darlington.
Just look at where everyone started, just how mixed up this race was at the end. Car Euroshak seemed like the fastest machine here all night. He's going to finish 13th after getting trapped with that caution flag. Nice little recovery. Robbie Vrabel Jr. is going to finish 14th. I finally said his name right for the first time all night. Dalton Malam is going to finish 15th. Brandon Hawk is going to finish 16th. Will Cooley ends up 17th. Justin Levine, 18th. Logan Helton, 19th. Cody Johnson, 20th. Carson Bowers ended up back in 21st. Kyle Dragon's going to 22nd. Dylan Pettis, 23rd. And Johan Seminario is going to round out the top 24.
A ton of casualties at Darlington near the end. Darlington stripe more like Darlington finish for these guys early. Adam Garza, Craig Yansack, Patrick Gitter, like a Justin Bolton down there. Pole sitter Michael Mitchum led a good chunk of this race to start, then got into a crash with a hardware issue right in front of Dalton Millam. 31st is where he finishes this one. Daniel Nanny among the bigger names to be down here in 30th place. And then Justin Botello, Joshua Dickens, Abraham Vela, and Tommy Gossett. First casualty of the night with our first caution at the exit of turn 4. Rounds out the 35 truck field from the track Too Tough to Tame. Let's get a moment to talk with the race winner, Joe Armstrong, in the number 22 truck. His second win of the 2024 Road to Pro season. And Joe joins us now from Darlington Victory Lane. Joe, talk about how this race flipped on its head. You ran in the mid-pack for most of the night. All of a sudden, a caution comes out in the middle of green flag stops. You find yourself up at the front, and then the execution was just finish this one till the end. What does this one mean for you, and how was that experience like?
Oh my gosh. First off, what a race. That was pretty awesome. Darlington's one of my favorite tracks to race at on the service. And like you said, I didn't qualify very well. I kind of screwed that up, and that's kind of been the theme of my season so far, is just not doing well in qualifying and trying to play catch up for the first half of the race. And got up to like 15th, I think. Got up to like 13th actually, right before pit stop started under green, and I just needed some clean air. That's really all I needed. And when I got it, I started running faster laps than Connor, who was the leader at the time, and I was like, well, at this point, there's no reason for me to pit if I'm running like the fastest lap times on the track on older tires. So I just run it long and then make up the difference when the tires fall off again after I pit. And then I got the yellow around, I guess, lap 90ish, maybe 95 or whatever it was. And at that point, like Danson had been gaining on me, so I was like, Danson's gonna be a tough fight here. And then I got a big enough gap, about a second and a half. And then he started to close in with like 10 to go. So at that point, it was kind of like, I wouldn't say risk management, but I didn't want to like overstep it a little bit, get in the wall and really allow him to gain. I was fine with losing like half a tenth a lap. And then we got the caution with 8 to go or whatever it was, and everyone pit except for Robbie Vrabel, and a couple guys took 2. And fortunately, I was able to get a good enough restart and drive up through them, and we survived the late race chaos and what that was. So glad to come out on top. I know I just rambled, but I'm glad to come out on top. It's second win of the season in Road to Pro. So one Daytona at the beginning of the year. So I'm doing good. I'm happy. Shout out to the guys at Express Esports and Outlier Speedco for giving me a really good Toyota truck tonight, and hopefully we can take this truck to Charlotte and do the same.
And talking about Darlington and it's all of its difficulty, really tough track to drive. And I'd imagine that when you're forced into eNASCAR overtime, the tensions only turn up. And you had the advantage being that lead truck, but you knew that a bunch of other drivers were going to try to get the upper edge, specifically on those restarts where it looked like everyone was going to the apron near the end. What was your thought process like in holding the rest of the competition off? And did any of that pressure sort of get to you in those last attempts?
Not. It was nerve-wracking for sure. I think I saw earlier in the race, like on the initial start, actually, Michael Mitchum, he was the pole sitter for the race, and he did that little go early and cut the front stretch or turn 4. And I was like, hey, well, there's no restart zone, so I'm gonna use it to my advantage here. And fortunately, I was able to get to like a 5 truck length gap by turn 1 and let them fight behind me. So it wasn't as nerve-wracking as if it would have been if we had like an actual restart zone, but times like this are where I'm glad that we don't have one. So.
And you move out of Darlington. You were top 3 in standings going into this race. We assume that it will be the same going out of this one. I'm sure that there's no doubt at all that you're going to make round 2 of this Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. So adding this second win of the season, how does that help you momentum-wise and confidence-wise going into Charlotte and then heading into the round 2 starter at Chicagoland?
Well, obviously, like you said, I still got to finish out the season or round 1 strong at Charlotte, and I think a run like tonight gives me confidence going into it. Gives the entire team confidence because it proves that we can build fast trucks, and we're proving ourselves this year for sure. And I'm proud of those guys just as much as they're proud of me for running well, and they've had good runs in their splits as well. But for round 2, I think, obviously, I think Chicagoland's the first race, and then Pocono. But I'm pretty sure we're also getting like a newer aero physics or whatever it is. So that'll be an interesting thing to try to figure out while we're trying to set up our trucks for round 2. But just like I said, I can't thank these guys enough for giving me an opportunity. I didn't have a team coming into round 1, one Daytona, and these guys picked me up off the streets pretty much, and so I can't thank them enough.
Well, a fantastic win from Darlington, and despite all of the pressure and those 3 green-white checkered attempts to end it, you hold out up front, and you're as strong as ever. Joe, on behalf of all of us here at FTN, congratulations on the second split win from the track Too Tough to Tame, and hopefully we'll be able to see you at Charlotte in 2 weeks' time to close round 1.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for putting it on. Have a good night.
Joe Armstrong, the winner here from Darlington Raceway. We have a chance to talk with the second place truck. Big time points gained, Daniel Falkingham, for none other than Joshua Ballier.
If there was someone who needed a big points night, it's this man right here, Josh Ballier, coming home in P2. Josh, quite an up and down night for you, but you're bringing home the runner-up spot. Talk us about it.
I just lucked out in this P2. Like, I had a minute and a half of damage at the very beginning, T-Bone and Gossett, and just lucked out on the strategy. Like, we had the speed clear to be up there because no one was really coming up to get around it, but we we got the luck we didn't have last week.
Yeah, definitely. You were right near the cut line a couple weeks ago at Dover, but then you slipped back down the points after a rough race. And trying to see like what if this sheet is updated yet. I don't believe it has quite yet. So we'll see where you're going to end up. But with a night like this is definitely going to help you in the points, especially with that chase to the top 70. But another thing I want to ask about, like that caution flag that came out in the middle of that pit cycle, seemed like a lot of guys were trying to go long. And some guys were trying to pit the normal time thinking that this was going to run green. But definitely, I think that caution flag definitely helped you out right there at the end.
Yeah, we were just kind of going for the Hail Mary because I'm just like, we were, I think, 80th something in points, and we were like, we really needed something to go well there because after that minute and a half of damage, we couldn't really get any track position back. We were like 20th, 21st, so we're like, might as well stay out and hope for a yellow. There's nothing else that we can really do in this race. We got to finish well. So luckily, we got the yellow and we're able to come out there in second.
Yeah, for sure. So what is the outlook going to Charlotte in 2 weeks' time? It is the last race, but the racing is going to maybe be a little different because it is going to be the longest race we have on the season. It's one of the longest races we've had in a long time. So it's definitely going to be a little, well, I think you know what the job's going to be in a couple of weeks in Charlotte, though.
Yeah, I'm just, I haven't done much, put in much time into Charlotte, so I'm not really sure on how it's going to be, but how these past 2 weeks have gone, we've had plenty of speed, so just putting the race together and having luck fall our way.
For sure. Well, we'll let you go here tonight. Congrats on the second place. It was a weird and wild night for you tonight in Darlington. And yeah, I'll give you the time to give out any shout-outs.
Thank you. Just like to thank my team, Elliott Sadler Esports, for bringing a really fast car, and any of my boys that are out watching, Emerson, Markle, Causey.
Well, Josh, thanks for speaking with us. Congrats on the runner-up spot, and best of luck in 2 weeks' time at Charlotte. We'll hopefully see you make that top 70.
Yeah, thank you.
That is Joshua Ballier coming home in P2. And what a great run it was for him, Kenneth. And especially after the issues he went through with that initial caution and whatnot. But I think the same can be said for this man right here, Matt Danson, another man who had a crazy race, got involved in a caution. He's going to come home P3. He's standing by with you.
You're right. Matt, at one point in this race, you were facing the outside wall entering turn 3, and a caution came out shortly thereafter. All of a sudden, this race turns around for you in the best way possible. You have top 6 position as a caution comes out midway through a cycle. What was that turnaround like for you, this emotional roller coaster from Darlington tonight?
Yeah, you're right. It definitely was up and down. I thought that after that real early yellow, we'd come down and got the fuel. So I was good on one stop, whereas everyone, so I was only really racing Santi. Like Santi and I were the first two that could make it on the one stop, whereas everyone else was going to have to, splash or whatever. So or just do some sort of mega save, which was obviously not going to be helpful for them to make good speed. So at that point I was already thinking of what I'm going to say in my victory speech. But after that yellow, then yeah, like you said, I managed to wreck myself like a buffoon, which was just me losing my position. Really just kind of drifted up a little bit too much, got myself hooked, and then but surprisingly didn't have much damage. So the speed was still there, and especially long run, we were flying long run. So I knew after Dover, where I felt like we had a really good speed for a top 10, possibly top 5 situation, and we pit under yellow and got trapped. This time I knew that I was definitely not pitting at all costs. So it was very happy to see the yellow flag at that point. Would have maybe liked it a couple laps later, so I could have got Joe, because I had good pace on him at that time too. And then the consequent sort of run from there, we were coming down to I think 9 laps to go, and I was getting him a tenth of a lap at that point because I saved my stuff, and it was looking like if it stayed green, 2 laps from the end or thereabouts, I'd get to him. Whether I could do anything, who knows? Probably not. But then it was just a matter of trying to hold on for the restarts, and I did my best Jeff Gordon impression every single time. So happy with P3, but also slightly disappointed, but pretty stoked overall.
And as far as I recall, this is your best finish running in second split. Your previous best was 9th at Daytona. This beats it by a landslide with a podium finish tonight at Darlington. What does this mean for you, not only in your second split run through the 2024 Road to Pro season, but just overall in the point standings and chasing top 70 status as we head to Charlotte 2 weeks from now?
It's a great question. I honestly, I was not going to run the race. Yeah, this starts at 10 a.m. my time. I was going to have a bit of a sleep in, and I messaged Cozy and I said, should I register? And he said, yeah, why not? You doing anything else? I said, no, I was going to sleep. He said, let's race. And so I jumped on, and with like my first lap of practice, I was qualifying. So, I was very unprepared, but I'd done a little bit of next gen stuff, early in the week here. So at least I had a baseline to kind of work from. And the race pace, like I said, was awesome. As far as where I'm at in standings, I have no idea. I'm usually in round one purgatory. Like if there's a way to destroy yourself out of advancing, I will find it usually. So I don't know. I guess there's one more race to go, I suppose, right? So we'll see. If we're within a shot, then I'll rock up and hopefully we can pull out a good result.
Well, hey, nonetheless, regardless of what happens, I'd say it's a last-minute decision that paid off, thanks to Michael Cozy Jr.
Yeah.
So I got to extend my thanks to him. Matt, on behalf of everyone that helps it happen for you at Altus Engineering, who do you got to thank for tonight's third-place finish?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, of course, like you said, Altus Engineering couldn't have done it without that setup. So, thanks to everyone involved there. Obviously, you can go to VRS and sign up for the Altus pack. Race Tech seats. Who else? That's about it. Obviously, Cozy, you guys for putting the show on. All the teammates who get on my back about not practicing. And yeah, just as well. Like I got to shout out Josh, who got P2 at the end. I feel like in a lot of cases people can just wipe you out when they're on the bottom, especially Darlington, kind of drift up, put you in the wall and kind of be like, oh, whoops, sorry. But I feel like he was really, raced super clean. Everyone I was around pretty much, raced super clean and respectful. It was really only myself that did the dumb thing where I kind of crept up and turned across someone's nose in that mid part, like you said. So, shout out all the drivers. A bit unfortunate we had all the yellow at the end. Would have been nice to just have it play out, but yeah, it is what it is.
Great finish here at Darlington. Matt, congratulations on the podium, and I am delighted to tell you that you're going to be rocking out at Charlotte because you're 8 points off of top 70 status, so you've got a pretty good shot at making it into round 2 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So best of luck at Charlotte 2 weeks from tonight. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the third place once again.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one. Bye.
Matt Danson for Altus Engineering, third place finish, and his best finish in second split in terms of what we've seen on FTN. We'll turn to the fourth place driver, another guy who also, I believe, Daniel, gets his best finish in second split, fourth place, Nate Stewart.
Yeah, we're actually able to catch up with fourth place Nate Stewart. I've been waiting in the waiting room a little bit, but we're going to finally get a chance to talk to him. Nate, seemed like you were riding around just outside the top 10, right around the midfield, seemed like the whole night, but then you had that caution flag that came to the pit cycle, and you were able to rock up with the top 5 finish. It seemed like a wild night for you.
Man, it really was. I was honestly struggling quite a bit in the beginning of the race and through the middle, just because we were just a little bit too loose for my liking. I typically like to drive tighter stuff, but we figured with how the track was going to progress, it was probably better to start off loose, but we just went a little bit too far, so I was just trying to hang on and not crash, really. I got to give, like Joe and other people props that were riding behind me and didn't run me over, even though I probably deserve it for how much of a roadblock I was being. But yeah, whenever I pitted, I was content to just finish like 13th or wherever it was I was going to be at that point. But the caution came out, and then thankfully I was just able to get lucky, take the wave around. Got a big gap on the restart just because of the restart shenanigans, and then I was able to just cut up a few spots on the subsequent restarts and finish fourth.
Yeah, So I want to mention that. Well, I didn't even think about asking all the other drivers. What are your thoughts on all the restarts tonight, especially just coming off turn 4? Like, there's no restart zone, so there's no penalty for that. Everyone just cutting it off turn 4, and you guys ended up like 3 and 4 wide sometimes on these restarts. It seemed like it get a little hectic with about a lane and a half racetrack.
I think it's stupid. I really do. I mean, like, we need like a lane change rule or implement restart zones or something, because like that's not how Darlington is. It just wasn't fun having to cut down onto the apron on restarts. It just, I bet it looked bad. It felt bad. It was just, oh God. I did not have fun on the restarts. I can tell you that right now, Dan.
Well, the best part out of all that is you survived. You got through just fine. And, yeah, so now with that is one more race left in Charlotte. And looking at the points, I'm pretty sure as long as you just turn up next week, you are on your way to round 2. But how are you looking at Charlotte in a couple of weeks, with that being the longest race that we've had on an intermediate in a really long time? 160 laps next time out. How do you feel about Charlotte?
I am so looking forward to it. I love long races. I love Charlotte. I am excited for Charlotte. I really am. Like I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am, just because we get a long race, 160 laps, gonna be varying strategies, comers and goers, hopefully. Like and I absolutely love Charlotte. It's probably one of my most favorite ovals, and I really can't wait to get there, man.
For sure, and you're already in a good point spot. Looking at our point sheet, it seems like I mentioned, all you gotta do is just ramp up, just show up, start on the grid, and then you'll be on your way to round 2. And one more side question: will you be in Charlotte for Coke 600 weekend?
Yes, I will be. I'm actually gonna be leaving that Friday morning, because after I got wrecked in Dover last week, or 2 weeks ago, I made the plans to just leave early Friday morning, so I could run Road to Pro at the house instead of, somewhere else, and maybe have a part failure or something like I did last year that knocked me out of round 2. So just gonna sit at home, leave early Friday morning, and then yeah, I'll be in Charlotte for 600 weekend. And real quick, I just want to give a big thank you to Sembrap Market. They came on board this year thanks to 1023 Graphics, Justin Bolston. Make sure to go check out his stuff on sembrapmarket.com. They make amazing paint bases. And, I can't thank Cameron and everyone at SWM for coming on board and supporting me this season and everything I do. Penguin RC Simulation, they make a good amount of button boxes for like direct drive wheels and stuff like that. Rexford Engineering also makes button boxes, just a different kind. Rexford makes the button boxes you see in like, stock cars or whatever. I have a little box over here with switches and buttons and all that I really enjoy. So, yeah. Then Apex Action Photography, that's me. I do iRacing screenshots, always looking for work. So feel free to hit me up. And then, Dead Zone Racing. I can't say enough about everyone over at Dead Zone. Houston, Garrison, Jackson, Omar, even Justin Bolton, even though he was kind of a roadblock tonight. And then, GL and Lewis for spotting me, and Dylan Duvall, this week's Talladega winner of the Coke Series, was also in the channel with me, and he was a big help in keeping me calm and all that. So, a lot of love for Dead Zone for taking me in and helping me get to where I am now.
Well, as someone who had to witness that wheel failure last year in the second split calling the race, I am very glad to hear that hopefully there won't be any issues this time around coming from your own home. But anyways, Nate, thanks for talking with us. Thanks for stopping by, and best luck in Charlotte in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
And that is Nate Stewart. Thanks for him for joining us. He's going to end up in P4, and I believe that's all we're going to hear from tonight. Kenneth, as I guess it's time to wrap things up from Darlington, South Carolina.
Well, that is it from the track Too Tough to Tame. Just got words with our top 4. Joe Armstrong gets the win tonight, his second of his Road to Pro season. And we've got a ton of storylines to feed you in 2 weeks' time, where we will be live from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. A quick look at the Road to Pro schedule before we wrap things up tonight. Charlotte is the final step in round 1 before we take the top 70 and put them all in round 2 to begin at Chicagoland later this summer. This is the road to contender later this fall, which ultimately leads to the Coke Series in 2025. So it's going to be really important, Daniel, for these drivers to execute at Charlotte now that there's only one race left, and it's going to be the longest of the season at 240 miles, 160 laps. But what can we take away from Darlington? Your final thoughts on tonight's race?
Well, leaving tonight, a lot of people can breathe easy, and a lot of people are probably going to be sweating bullets these next 2 weeks preparing for the next race and the final race at Charlotte, because a lot of guys needed some good runs, guys like Ballier, Danton, and now, like I said, Armstrong, he's already way up there in the points, got another win tonight, and it's just crazy to see how when you let these races play out and just have those caution flags, like just how much it's going to flip the field. Because looking at our finishing order, there are 4 guys that started 30th or worse that finished in the top 10. That is how much this race flipped with 30 laps to go, and I expect we're probably going to be seeing a lot of the same stuff in Charlotte. Our longest race that we've had in a Road to Pro race in a long, long time. We're going to be seeing lots of varying strategies, maybe seeing a lot of comers and goers like Nate mentioned. Charlotte, that's a race I am definitely looking forward to in 2 weeks.
You see that statistic of drivers who finished 30th or worse being in the top 10. You'd think we're at a super speedway, but we're at one of the toughest tracks to drive in this sim. Charlotte takes place 2 weeks from tonight. You'll catch our coverage right here on Fireball Talks NASCAR, FTN's YouTube channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. Daniel, you're going to be in Charlotte prepping for Coke 600 weekend, so that'll be a lot of fun.
That will be a lot of fun, and I will be hopefully to be calling this race from a different location. So I cannot wait to be back with you guys in 2 weeks. Hopefully I get everything worked out so I can call this race, because I have been having a lot of fun doing this for the last year and a half. But yeah, I'm going to be in a little bit of a different setup, so I might be sounding a little different. But hopefully we can get everything working, and I'll join you all at Charlotte in 2 weeks.
It'll be a lot of fun. We'll see you at Charlotte in 2 weeks, hopefully. If you want to get note of anything that's happening in the world of eNASCAR, you can scan that QR code on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Get all the latest updates and news from the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying iRacing Series, the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and much, much more. Sign up today with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Well, that would do it for our coverage of the 7th race in round 1 of the 2024 eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying iRacing Series. For everyone at FTN and all of us here that makes this broadcast happen, for Jason Rockefeller and for my colleague in the booth tonight, Daniel Falkingham, I'm Kenneth Bueno, saying so long from South Carolina, Charlotte in 2 weeks' time to decide the 70 that advance to the second round.